Let me open up the Chatterino.
Open up the Chatterino. What's wrong, Areno?
I want some Tostinos.
Areno.
Tostino Areno.
Watching some Game Center CX for Areno.
Fuck, I almost
Fuck.
We're fucking dumb.
We're going live, which means the sirens are starting.
We're going live tonight, man.
Go live
no lie. Tonight,
right.
Tonight's there's gonna be fucking. I guarantee there's gonna be fireworks heard on this show tonight. I almost fucking guarantee it. Yeah. I would not be shocked.
Bot has joined.
Yeah, that's my security bot. That is he's a good bot. John, I made you a moderator, by the way.
Nice.
Because I removed somebody earlier in the week. I think I made you a moderator.
Typerino.
I'm just talking like Ned Flanders now.
Yeah, that's where my brain was at. Hey there, Taylor.
It is a buttcast. I'm using a different chat thing for the screen too, so it looks a little different. Exciting. Yeah, it looks a little different. It puts your avatar on screen. That's cute. Yeah, like I got tired of Streamlabs finally. Because like for some reason it broke all of the special characters. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, okay, I need to probably go ahead and get off of that now. Because I just didn't do it because, you know, I'm fucking lazy. Like, look, it just works. I just want a thing that works. I don't know that if it's going to work too well with regards to my my VTuber stuff. I don't think that this is going to look so good. So we may have to play around with it a little bit.
I have a badge that because for having Amazon Prime, that feels like a thing of shame.
Oh God.
I connected. I was connected on the Twitch gaming thing, and then they just changed it to Amazon Gaming, and I haven't relinked it. Yeah. So like I don't have access to all those games anymore, and I'm just like, bye.
I mean, did they give you anything that was actually worthwhile anyway?
I think I played Super Hot on it.
Super Hot, yeah.
Way back.
Yeah, that was way back.
Like right when they started it, and then like I think I had Ukulele on there, and then Epic gave it out, and I just played it on Epic.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like, oh, I already had that. I've come close to buying games on Steam, and then I look and it's like, what do you mean I already have that one?
Yeah, that's kind of happened to me more than a few times. You also have that like bumbly humbly dumbly thing that you do every month.
Not every month. They'd let you pause for a month, and I paused like 3 months in a row.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, understandable. It's fine. I don't have enough arms to hold all of these video games.
I don't have enough time for all these video games.
I think that's the big one. Yeah.
Like this month I did do the humble thing, but I was like, I'm going to click cancel anyway, and they're going to offer me, $6 off. Okay. Oh, I'll come back for this month if you're giving me half off.
Right. Like I like Beepner here. If I wanted Super Hot, I'd go outside. Solid joke.
Who has time for video games? There is only light novels.
Yeah.
Also true.
I mean, visual novels count. I put those in the same kind of literary category.
Absolutely.
They're written with a very similar kind of voice.
You read light novels and you're like, oh shit, books can be as good as video
game books.
Yes, exactly.
Visual novels have music.
That's a good point, man. I bet. Man, visual novels, huh? It's very appropriate to. We got a cold open talking about visual novels because I think that might be a little bit of a theme today for Sockscast episode 157. Go ahead and count them in your head. I don't want to hear you count out loud. That'd be very stupid. Welcome everybody. How you doing?
Hi. Hey, I'm doing great.
You're doing great. I'm doing fantastic. Yeah. The chat is doing fantastic. If you just downloaded this right now, guarantee you're doing fantastic. And if you're not, we're going to do our best to put a little big old smile on your stupid face. You just stick around, idiot.
Oh, the old hot and cold treatment.
Yeah. That's how you get them. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to do a podcast, I hear. We skipped a week. Because, important things.
Because of you.
Extremely important reasons.
Me. It was me, and it was very important, and we'll find out why very, very, very soon. But, to my immediate virtual right, he's America's favorite tomato-based soup. It's Rhett.
I'm soup.
You're soup.
I'm soup.
You're even tomato-based.
You're super. Also.
Souper. You are souper.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. How you doing, Rhett?
I'm sad. I'm out of moon pies.
Oh no! Oh no! You had the last, did you? All right, I'm gonna get you some double deckers this week and send them out.
Oh jeez. Okay.
Yeah, I'll get you a few. I won't send you the whole 12 count box because I think that would be disastrous. But I'll send you like 3 or 4.
Okay.
I think that'd be a good little haul for you. Yeah. So you got a taste for the moon pies now. It's taken hold.
Fucked up. Got a taste.
Yeah. You cannot go back once you've got it. You can't go back. You are ensnared forever and ever. To my the virtual left, if he painted a butt on his stomach, his belly button would be the butthole. It's John Dyer. Hey,
that was a good one.
How you doing, John?
I'm doing great.
Have you ever thought about painting a butt on your belly now, or are you gonna go try that in the mirror sometime?
I feel like I probably did when I was much younger. I feel like that image felt like it wrung something out of the deep memory.
Might have been
like a buried inside out memory orb.
Oh shit.
Like the movie Inside Out. Yeah.
Just use the morphogenetic field to go find it. All you gotta do is find that memory.
We got two just like equally completely esoteric polls, obviously. Actually, I feel like that one I feel like the morphogenetic field one actually probably landed for our audience even better.
Yeah, I think that like if anybody's gonna get a morphogenetic field joke, it'll at least be the 2 or 3 people that listen to this show.
If
Game of the Year and Game of the Decade lists have been any indication, I think we're fine.
The people that put all 3 Danganronpa games in the top 10 for the GOT decade
could
list.
Probably be, we're probably clear.
They probably know their way around a morphogenetic field.
Yeah, they might. Just got to pull that data right on out of the cloud. It's just basically the cloud for your brain, really.
There you go. And then you use it to solve Sudokus.
Exactly. That's what I would use it for.
Remember when you played 9999 and you fucking hated it?
Yeah, like the first time I played 999, I do specifically remember just like I was just not in the mood. Like I kept playing, and that was that's something that I've only like in the last year or so gotten to the point to where it's just like if I'm not feeling this, I need to just pull back, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's something I did not do back then, and it almost cost me getting into Kataru Uchikoshi's work, and I think that's a tragedy.
5 games later, and it's like.
It almost made me dislike an Ys game. Like, okay, it almost made me.
The Ys 8 one was crazy. I don't like the combat in this.
Yeah. So, like, I like again, valuable lesson learned. If you ain't feeling it, just go do something else. It's fine. You don't have to be part of any zeitgeist. You ain't impressing nobody.
Fuck the zeitgeist.
Fuck the zeitgeist.
That's wisdom there.
It is. That's what people come to this show for. Just the grains of wisdom, like the truth wisdom would be dropping on that ass. Just unheard of. Rhett!
Hey.
Talk about something.
Am I okay? Man. I finished the thing. I'm going right back to where I was last week.
Oh, we're just like the continuation. Let's go. 1 month has passed. That's amazing though. Like it's been a month.
It's been a month, and this is still...
And it's still in your craw.
I finished Trails of Cold Steel 3.
Boy, that's a big one.
I probably did it like a week after the podcast.
Yep.
Because I had that whole last chapter, basically, that goes for a while, and then kind of stared at the wall for another 3 weeks.
And then like people think that we joke about post Trails depression, but it is a real thing for people that get it. Like I know not everybody does, but like when you finish a Trails game and you just like you just kind of have to take a couple of weeks to peel yourself off the ground.
Yeah.
Because everything's going to bounce off for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I think after a zero, I posted like, move over post-trails depression. It's time for post-trails bliss.
Yeah, that's good. Right.
So this one was really good, obviously. Mm-hmm. But like the post-trails depression this time was more like, I have never played a game maybe not never, but I have not invested so heavily into a game for like, so I did the math. I have like 120 hours in this game and I beat it in like under a month. It ended up being that I had the game running to some degree on Steam 4.5 hours every day.
Yeah.
Even though I have a full-time job. like it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was like 100% of my free time.
That is a lot of video game.
So it really was just like peeling myself off the floor, like, okay, time to do something else.
Time to become a completely different person now than who I've been for the last month.
That hobby, that hobby that you've been putting 100% of your time into,
it's gone.
The book has slammed shut for now.
Mm-hmm.
And you could either do something the fuck else, which is obviously what I did, or you could just go buy Cold Steel 4.
Which you just did, by the way. I saw that.
Oh, I know. I'm not getting to that until after Xenoblade, because at this point I would have to do like 5 hours a day to beat that before Xenoblade at this point.
Yeah. Xenoblade like there was just only 27 days away or something?
It's the 29th, so whatever.
It's close.
That's funny.
Like I'll definitely finish the other thing before then. Maybe have time for some shorter things, but not the longest Cold Steel game apparently.
No.
But yeah, the ending of that game, Jesus Christ.
It goes.
It's like, I said something to John earlier. It's like, you think these long-running series, they have rules and like a rhythm to them that they can't shock and surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in Trail's case of playing like 8 or 9 of them chronologically. Mm-hmm. Like 3 Trails games, 2 cross spells.
Yeah, this is game 8.
Like, this is game 8.
Mm-hmm.
I know your game. I know how these go. And this one plays it so straight right until like the last half hour.
Holy shit.
And I realize that saying that is kind of a spoiler, which sucks for John, but hey, maybe you'll forget. Okay. And also by the time you see what the fucking bullshit they pull at the end of 1 and 2 also is. Like you'll still think, oh, they can't get me that bad again.
Not possible. You can't get me a second time or a third time. Fourth time, you definitely won't get me, Falcom.
I don't even want to know what the hell happens in 4th. So here's the thing. The way 1 ended, I still saw a way for that series to continue and like how shit was going to get unfucked in Cold Steel 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Cold Steel 4 opens. I truly don't. Like
it's
my main
real fucked.
They got some problems to work out right now.
big problems.
Like my main guess would that Cold Steel 4 would open as us playing as someone not playable at all in 3. Like no one. Mm-hmm. Not a single character is really unscathed at the end of this one.
We are just playing as Trauma. We are just going to play as the living embodiment of Trauma for a few hours.
We kind of did that. We made the whole game was the living embodiment of Trauma.
They've kind of done that.
Yeah,
one. The dungeon
That's a good point.
Well, the dungeon was Trauma. Now the playable character.
Now
is
the playable character. You just get a character. It is named Trauma. It is just an amorphous blob, and you just kind of slither your way all around Erebonia.
It's Cold Steel 4 opens, and it's just Reen in a chair, and it's Xenoblade.
Xenogears.
Xenogears Disc 2.
It's just a visual novel for the first 3 hours.
Yeah. Why did you do it, Reen? Just interrogating him in his trauma.
It opens with Reen in a chair, and it's Cloud in the wheelchair for 5 hours in Final Fantasy VII, where he just can't talk.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Xenogeos.
Yeah, it's like, feel like you could have a 5-hour discussion about that game and then another 5-hour discussion about like the last half hour.
Yeah, about like what are the implications?
So
Jesus Christ.
And just that
when the writing hits.
When the writing hits, it's like other games, are you even trying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that was my thing with Zero is like, okay, a bunch of this is them kind of following that rhythm, like you said.
Yeah.
And then they just have that like little handful of beats with the one character where it's like, we're just going to go that much harder, that little bit harder than any other RPG out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's so that this game still sticks in your heart forever.
Yep.
I know. I wish maybe they did those parts a little more, but it's like they're also bouncing very long games.
Yeah.
Like Cold Steel 3 is kind of amazing to me because it is like this 100-hour RPG, and there are just so many plot threads going on, like so many character arcs and just stuff happening, where I think it does lose like focus a bit. Like it's not like, it is not like a 10-hour RPG that it like does one thing extremely well. It's this grand epic that is 8th in a saga, 3rd in this specific sub-franchise with like a literal cast of like 100 characters at this point. Like, so obviously it loses a bit of that focus. Yeah. But then when they really want to hit, they hit hard.
Yeah, when they push the characters out that aren't necessarily super important right now and drill down into the core of what matters in the characters that are very important. Oh boy! Yeah. Hold on.
And then when this game has the weight of all the others behind it, where they're involving characters, you know.
Oh yeah,
that you know and love.
The thing that you've been waiting for since you started Cold Steel starts happening.
Yeah. Just like seeing all this happen and like characters that have been around.
This is a world-spanning event now, and we're going to absolutely show you that it is.
Everyone is here.
Yep.
Just
clap, clap, clap. That shows up. Clap, 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 clap,
clap. So that's one of those things where I think this game feels a little unfocused and cheesy. Is like the number of times. Did I talk about this last time? Where like
probably
number of time when either villain monologues from a cliffside so that you can't reach them, or hero drops down from a cliffside to save you at the last moment from some villains.
And then you've got what I call the Falcom pan, where you pan the camera up and around and you get your nameplate. Oh my God, I
can see it in my head.
Yep. Like the character has their hand like on their chest, they've got their eyes closed, the nameplate pops up, and they start with well.
It another real cheesy thing in this game. Were you going to say something, John?
Even in Zero, where like between every chapter, you'll have like two characters just like standing on a cliffside, looking and going like, now things are getting interesting. And then
they do that too. Like characters. That happens in Cold Steel 1 as well, where like you'll just be going between locations on a train and there will just be villain on a cliffside in the middle of fucking nowhere on this gigantic empty field. Like these powerful characters just standing there with their arms crossed like, oh yes, there goes Reen on a train.
Things are going according to plan.
Yeah.
All according to Keikaku.
The wheels are in motion.
Oh God, I live for this shit.
It's so much. But that's how, it's almost like that's how they lull you into a false sense of security, is where these games have this rhythm and like a way of going about things. And then maybe there's villains in this one that don't play as nice as you're used to.
Yeah.
Like I think the Ouroboros faction has kind of a charming anime villain vibe to them.
Yeah,
they're dangerous and they're obviously up to some fuck shit, but like, those little scamps looking, they got me again.
Oh, those chuny fucks.
God darn it.
Yeah. And then what if you just have some villains that are just like, we just actually want to kill you and rule the world. We're just actually like for real evil, and like even Ouroboros is like, oh man, what the fuck is that?
Y'all are fucked up.
The zero villain that the Ouroboros people are like, whoa, that's fucked.
Yeah, basically that, but like even worse.
Absolutely, yes.
There's tons of factions in
like
this
evil
as well.
that's
like
so bad that Ouroboros is like, we're gonna go extinguish that for you.
God.
Jesus Christ.
God, that's choice.
Yeah. I think I was going to say something 2 minutes ago, but I forgot. So
sorry.
Yeah, so this game's really good. It plays very well, and then it rips your soul out right at the end.
Okay, good.
I remember when I started this one, I was very intent. I'm only going to play 3 this time. Because when I played 1, I knew 2 was probably going to have to chase it immediately. Because I'd already heard that those games are kind of one bigger story.
Yeah, for sure.
A game split in half. I thought 3 was going to be kind of more standalone. I don't know why I thought that. I'm a dummy. Polly and Iffy were just like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see how this one treats you, especially since you don't plan on playing 4 right away afterwards.
Yeah. Me and Iffy that whole time we were having a laugh.
Extremely ominous.
Oh, just
fuck, that's funny.
It leaves you in a place. It leaves you in a place.
Real month for games tearing your soul out, huh?
Right?
Yeah.
Whew.
I've kind of committed at this point. This is the year of Cold Steel. I'll probably play 4 after Xenoblade 3.
That's gonna be.
Whew. There's just no other way out.
You're going to have quite the year to look forward to. I cannot wait to see I cannot wait to see Game of the Year this year. It sounds like it's
going to be a weird one, especially if I don't group them.
Yeah,
because I don't feel like grouping them right now.
Yeah,
because I did kind of cheat with I did
1 and 2. Like I did that too. Like when Trails made my my initial Game of the Year list with 1 and SC, is I just grouped them. And I think I put them at 2.
I grouped first chapter, second chapter, and third.
And third. Like, dude, just like do it.
And then they lost to Wander Song.
Wander Song is an amazing piece of work.
Wander Song is pretty fucking good.
Or it loses to Fate. Yeah. Depending on the list.
I think Wander Song was that pure, 15-hour, does one thing the entire time extremely well, whereas the Trails trilogy was like, hey, here's a whole lot more to chew on, but it's not as focused.
Not as focused, but when it does,
I think FC SE was my number 1 that year. I think that's it. And the third hit me even harder. That was just a crazy year.
Oh, that was a crazy year. Like, I don't think Falcom is capable of making a better game because, in a way, I think third probably is the most focused with.
Yeah. They go so hard into the characters because they clearly just enjoy and love those characters as much as we do. So they're writing those characters as fans, and putting them where they need to be. It's a fan game. It's a fan game. I mean, it feels like one. Third feels like a fan game with the way a lot of Dojin games are made. It feels like it was made with that spirit, at least.
I could actually see that, yeah.
Yeah, I think I even compared it like RPG Maker stuff. The way they have those like hour-long episodes tucked throughout.
I do remember
each one was its own little indie game.
When I saw what the dungeon concept for that one was, I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" And then got super into the dungeon crawling in that
because that type of dungeon setup is the very reason I did not like East Origin very much.
Yeah. So it's like, "Oh no, you're doing that again. I'm out." And then, "Oh no, this is the best one."
I still can't believe somebody tried to tell me that it was just a side story that you don't need.
Oh my God.
My fucking God.
Again, that view is
that happens every single time we bring it up.
Yeah. But it's still
so wild.
To me is increasingly funny where there are a bunch of Trails Third references in Cold Steel 3.
Yep.
Like it just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
It's a very important step in that saga. Like more concretely than first chapter and second chapter, where third was the one where they were like, you could see their eyes looking ahead towards.
Yeah, we are sewing pieces of this world together now. Like the first 2 are kind of like to jump you into this world and to get you into the mindset of what we're building. Third feels like, all right, now we are actually building the world beyond this little place that we're already in. Yeah.
It's like how people say that you can just skip Phantasy Star 3, but then there's tons of references in 4. Like you need the whole experience.
No, you don't. I remember. I know Beepner recently tried to go back to Phantasy Star 3, and it sounded miserable. Sounded like the worst possible time anybody could have.
I did skip that one.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's
even
there in the chat. It was.
If even completionist John skipped Phantasy Star 3, I think
1, 2, and 4 is a real good trilogy. I tell you.
There you go.
Very weirdly named trilogy, kind of like Devil May Cry 1, 3, 4.
It's 1, 2, and then the climactic game, End of the Millennium.
Yeah, weird, huh?
There you go.
It's like Persona 3, 4, and 5. They only made 3 of them.
Yes.
It's a weird name, a weird numbering convention, but sure, you know. Final Fantasy 2, 3, and 7. Another solid run.
God,
I love 5 too much, y'all. Sorry. I know we argued about that one. Replayed. It was like I completely cherish this. This is so good.
Anyways, that's my Cold Steel Journey 4 now.
Cold Steel Journey 4 now.
4 now. You've reached a rest stop along the highway. Things are looking a little dire.
I've reached the blackness of the abyss.
You reached the dark middle chapter has finally been reached.
Really? This truly is the dark middle chapter.
Fuck. That says a lot for this series.
They did such a good job in Cold Steel 3, though, of getting you used to that new... and making you care about that new Class 7, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing that consistently astonished me, is how much I really liked the new Class 7. When that first fucking cast of characters is so strong, and you bring in an entirely new cast and call them the new Class 7. And also,
that's so dangerous.
And the new branch campus students. I found myself just loving the new branch campus students. I always wanted to know what the fuck they were up to. Like, that shit was just spot on. Guys, guess what? We are a Falcom fanboy podcast.
It's true.
I remember I talked to like everyone I possibly could in third, or not third,
3.
Cold Steel 3. And when I was like, oh, I got their second journal entry, but I don't have the first one. What the fuck? I was like mad every time.
Oh no, you didn't talk to them the first time you were supposed to.
But I swear I talked to everybody a lot, for real.
Yeah.
Like, some of them are really specific, like, oh, in between this side mission, talk to him on the rooftop over here.
It's really dumb trying to get all of them. You have to follow a guide in order to fill all that shit out.
Because people are like, oh, you don't have to follow a guide this time, because they do mark hidden side quests.
They do,
on the map.
Yeah.
Like, the map in general is a lot more useful now.
Yeah.
But it's specific, just random NPC dialogue can go into the journal.
Yeah.
And then, you don't get 100% completion, which doesn't frigging matter for the overall story.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. It's just like, if you like that flavor, you want to find out. If you want to find out what Barrel's up to.
Wait.
Barrel's in there. You talked to her a few times.
Wasn't she in? She's from
the original. Yeah, but I'm just using as an example.
How about Fisherman Lloyd?
Leona.
I don't remember Lloyd.
A lot of good characters.
I think I missed Beryl in 3 is what I'm saying,
though.
Oh, no. She seemed important in 2. I'm like, oh, what are you up to? And then...
you're a silly girl, aren't you?
Oh, no, she knows the truth.
She
was right all along.
She's going to unmask the Grandmaster.
She is the Grandmaster.
That would be great. I like that one and Dorothy, the reporter from the original series games, as being the Grandmaster.
It's actually Nanako from Persona 4 as the Grandmaster of Ouroboros.
Goddamn.
That's my new light novel. The Grandmaster of all evil is a high school girl. Okay. Right. Moving on.
Thank you for that, Rhett. That was. I love hearing the evolving journey. I'm very glad that Cold Steel is hitting you so well, because I remember, like, it seems like 2 minutes ago you were like, all right, I'm gonna start Cold Steel 1.
That was November. It's not been a bit of a journey.
Yeah, that's quick for 3 60 to 100 hour RPGs, I think.
Well, when you just blaze through them in a month each or so.
And like, what the fuck else are you going to do right now?
Yeah, I do remember now. Cold Steel 1 was I don't like video games anymore. Pull the bandage off. This is the only thing I give a shit about is continuing.
break glass.
Break glass. In case of
emergency. Yeah, emergency glass. And then Cold Steel 1 is a very, very slow burn.
Yeah.
But once you get past that one, it's the one I'm like, this one's maybe kind of not great.
Yeah, when once you get past that first 80-hour RPG, then it gets good.
Well, see, that's the thing. I am weirded out when people start with that one.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when it's the 6th game,
yeah,
then I feel it's a little more understandable to be like, oh, this one's kind of not hitting as hard. Are they kind of running out of steam? And then, nope.
No, they're not.
Nope,
they're not.
Like, I think the overall structure of 3 is just a much better Cold Steel 1.
Nifty.
There's a lot of repetition in 1 of just like, okay, now you do your branch campus stuff. Now do the dungeon under the school.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with the Cold Steel 1's so sad to me. And I know a lot of people do it because it's the one that's like 3D
it's
and looks
immediately
new.
available. You know?
Yeah. It was on the PlayStation and not, Steam or the PSP.
Yeah.
So John, do you got any games that ripped your soul out at the end?
I've got a game that ripped my soul out at the end in a good way, and a game that drained my soul out in the way at the end in a bad way.
Let's do the good way and then do the bad way next time.
You got a twofer.
Okay, well.
So regardless, you just have no soul.
Let John do whichever way he wants.
Yeah, let's do the good one in a bed. Let's do the bad one first. The bad one. I started Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep like a day before the last podcast.
Oh no!
No! It's.
Uh-oh.
So I'm gonna kind of burn this pretty quick because I don't think that these games are worth talking about very long.
Which is surprising because I swear to God, watching you over Twitter, like I felt like it was clicking. It just felt like, I don't know. I felt like it was working for you. I don't know. Well, this is so weird.
Let me tell you this. I had the most, outside of Chain of Memories, I had the most fun with the fighting in this one than I have in any other Kingdom Hearts games. And it's because I just deliberately did like challenge restrictions. I was like, no, I'm going to beat all these bosses without using healing magic or the shot lock or D-links. Which basically it's like no healing and then no like free damage was the idea.
Right.
All the magic has like delays on using it. You make yourself vulnerable when you're using it. All your attacks but your physical attack has a shorter delay, but you have to be right up close to use it. So once you do that, it's honestly like really robust as an action game. There's a couple bosses, there's a couple final bosses that are just like, actually, fuck you. All three routes final bosses say, fuck you, actually, just a little bit. I still barely beat Aqua's completely under those restrictions, but it was really hard because the boss has one attack where it just zips across the field instantly with no startup.
Oh.
And I just kind of worked out a timing where I would just be constantly cartwheeling around and it would just always activate during my iframes. And I would be like, okay, cool. And then the other two bosses I had to beat using the shot lock, which just because the Ventus's boss has like a really, really fucking cool Sonic Adventure ass second phase where you're like floating in space and you de-link with him. So the mechanic you're using with everyone else in the whole game, you're suddenly linked with the final boss using his attacks against him. And you do the lasers, and there's a little quick time event where you're pushing your lasers at each other. It's fucking awesome. It's also really hard. And I died like 6 times on it. And then the shot lock was the only way I could do it consistently. So I just like all 3 routes have really dope final bosses. Especially, I mean, Aqua's is maybe a little bit lamer, but it was still pretty dope. And then Terra's is awesome and Ventus's is awesome. And they're both like cool climaxes to like a 10-hour thing. And it was nice having those cool climaxes like every 10 hours instead of, play a 30-hour game and then have a good ending like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Or Kingdom Hearts 1, really. So like I there's a couple bosses where I could not time like shooting Firaga at them at all. Like I just couldn't figure out. I couldn't. They did not leave any openings for me to use a spell, so I just fought them with the sword and nothing else. And it felt like a fighting game. It felt like I was monitoring like my spacing between me and the boss. I was like exactly aware of my timing, my iframes, exactly where when I could safely hit them, and I'd be like one Keyblade attack, two Keyblade attack, and then cut back without finishing the combo, because I know if I go for 3, I'll leave myself open for them to do one of their 6 attacks that'll hit me and then combo me to death instantly. So like all of this is really easily mitigated using like the cure magic and all that. I think Chain of Memories is the only one that's really fun. Just playing it as built, because that game's just hard as fuck, and it's got really cute systems. But I feel like if I played 2 this way, I would also have a ton of fun, because that game has a lot of really wild bosses. I think this is just kind of an expansion of a lot of the ideas they did in 2. So I think the Devil May Cry light fighting that they kind of introduced in 2 and expanded here and are probably going to keep expanding is really cool and fun. And the beat 'em up stuff, just killing Heartless, always feels good in every game. Just running around, pure brain candy. It's always easy. You're just killing Heartless and it feels great. Everything, like the way that the sword impacts the enemies, the way experience and money explodes out of them, the way you level up and it has like a big thing popping up in the corner. It all feels fantastic. And honestly, I almost started Dream Drop Distance right after this, because I was just like, I could really go for killing more Heartless, actually. Feels so fucking good. This one had by far the most absolutely nothing story of any of the games so far. Like it's bleak.
But is it bleak in a different way from the one that was explicitly bleak?
That one is like Nomura trying to do a key VN. And it's pretty okay, and it gives you some stuff to chew on. This one is just has very little going on. I just did not give a shit about any of the new characters. They're all complete nothing burgers. Aqua, Ventus, and Terra. Just nothing. They gave me nothing. No threads to connect to. The only fun characters are Xehanort is legit pretty fun. He's like just a scheming old man. He always walks hunched over with his arms behind his back.
Is he introduced in this one?
He is introduced in this one, actually.
Oh, so this is actually the most important one.
Yep. It's a prequel to...
right.
Yeah. And they say Xehanort's name in 2. They refer to him like, oh, this is before he became Ansem and did all this stuff. But this is where you get introduced to his original form, basically. Hey, Siren.
It's good ambiance, I think.
What do you say?
It's good ambiance, I think. Wakes people up.
There you go. Vanitas is so fucking fun. He's voiced by Haley Joel Osment. Yeah. And he's just having a blast being an absolute evil scumbag. It's great.
Yeah, that is a performance that I have always heard be very, very praised. It sounds like somebody actually really just having a shit ton of fun with that performance.
He's having so much fun compared to all 3 of the main characters who are just nothing. They even have Mark Hamill voicing the Jedi Master. And even he is just kind of they just can't do anything with him. It sucks. I feel like I thought that they were going to do 10-hour routes with each of these characters, and each of them would have like pretty neat, cool climaxes, and then you'd have a really big Sonic Adventure true end. And they don't. They have like a 20-minute teaser for the next game.
Oh, geez.
And it's nothing. It is not the true end. There's no true end here. There are 3. You're playing 3 games, and all 3 games are just playing out the same climax at the end, but from different perspectives. They're all in the same place. Mm-hmm. They just have different like final fights Like one of them is you're fighting, like Ventus is fighting inside his own heart, fighting Vanitas inside his own heart. Aqua is fighting Vanitas outside. And then Terra is just doing his whole thing with Xehanort. There's a legit very nice twist with Terra that I liked a lot. It's cool. It's a cool like shonen plot explosion because all of these threads come together in a cool way. It is not enough for a 30-hour game.
It sounds like that. Like if this maybe would have been like all of those campaigns, and then the whole thing been like 15 hours, this could have been like a really cool and zippy thing.
Absolutely.
Like
that would have made this fine. That would have been great.
You could have made this the size of a Devil May Cry and made that work.
Absolutely. 100%. I fully feel that way. Because again, I don't care about the characters, but if there wasn't like a lot of cutscenes and a lot of Disney worlds, and you didn't have to play through every Disney world with every character, they all get little pieces of the Disney story. So this character talks to Snow White. This character talks to Maleficent. This character does this. This character fights Maleficent outside in her normal form. This character fights Maleficent in her dragon form. And like, it's cute. It's 30 hours long. There's no story. There's no characters.
And there could have been, if you would have done like this 15-hour thing, you could have packed a decent little story into that little chunk of time. Because God, Devil May Cry does it.
Yes, like this is a Devil May Cry scoped story. Like that. If the character, it's like Devil May Cry, but all the characters just aren't having as much fun with the VA. Like Devil May Cry doesn't do a ton because it keeps the cutscene beats like pretty compact. You're not like getting a big, super in-depth RPG journey with Dante. You're just going through this awesome shonen set of set pieces and then have like maybe one cool story sequence. And this is that. It's just that it's twice as long as it should be, which is every Kingdom Hearts game. All of them have to pack in all of this Disney shit.
And you can't help but feel it like that's kind of getting in the way.
It's getting in the way with every single game, of course.
Because like I think the Square Nomura stuff is 255 times more interesting, despite the fact that I don't understand a bit of it because I've not played these games. I feel like that stuff always, like just looking at it and seeing people play those games, like that stuff has always looked way more interesting to me than the fucking like here's a Disney world, here's Disney characters, yada yada. Japan loves Disney though, so that's why, you know.
I am definitely the other side where I thought about buying Kingdom Hearts 3 just for the Disney stuff.
I have so miserable.
I have teetered on buying that fucking Story So Far collection for PS4 so many times. Oh, God. I'm just like, I'm there. I'm almost there. I'll pull back for now. Here we have the Story So Far in Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's only $39. I mean,
that's funny.
Maybe.
I mean, it's still, these games are still only 20 to 30 hours by RPG standards. That's not too bad.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not like you're going to blow 100 hours per game.
That's why I'm not feeling like hugely like existential crisis about all the time. I put one Cold Steel 3's worth of time into Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, like, like
the way you're saying it's 30 hours. So I'm like looking at my Steam for Cold Steel 3 says 118 and a half.
Brett's like, so you good, homie.
God. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If this was if every single one of these was a Devil May Cry scoped story, then the amount of characterization and depth that they have going on would feel completely appropriate.
Yeah.
The stupid fucking Key VN 358 over 2 days story would feel great in like a 10 to 15 hour game. Yeah. It would feel so like way more than you'd expect. It would feel like much closer to like Kamiya scope in like how those stories land. And instead these could be like great action games. But instead they're just very mediocre RPGs.
Yeah. The Sirens agree.
And the Sirens agree.
They're taking Kingdom Hearts away.
Yeah.
They're taking Kingdom Hearts away.
They're hauling it away for various acts of police brutality.
So yeah, I've got 2 more games left.
So is it Dream Drop in 3?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm skipping a friend told me, oh, you gotta play Recoded because it has like my favorite story beat in the game, or watch the cutscenes.
Just
the idea
watch
of
it.
watching 3 hours of Kingdom Hearts cutscenes is my personal hell.
I thought the story is what you're here for, John.
No, it's beating up Heartless.
John just likes beating up Heartless. That's it.
I just like beating up Heartless, and the stories would be, again, they would be good if it in an action game scope. They're just not, because all of these are like Terra's whole thing is he's wrestling with the darkness inside of him. He's being allured to the dark side. It's extremely Star Wars. It is painfully Star Wars. This is the Star Wars prequels to it is Star Wars prequels fan fiction. This is the thing. They did one was great. One was, I think, the one that Nomura was kind of most kept in check by. Like, there was the most, like, we have these other Square people kind of making a thing, and then they're going to make it like very normal. Maleficent's the big bad, and then they made it a little bit weird at the end, and it's tied very nicely together. It's one good game. Yeah. Then they made Chain of Memories, which was a prequel to 2. Mm-hmm. If you play it and you haven't played 2 yet, you're like, that was a really great setting the stage for 2. That's awesome. Mm. And you play 2, and 2 is kind of lame. It's got some really fucking great set pieces at the end, which would be great in a 15-hour action game. But as a 30-hour RPG, it does not pay off what it promises. Right. It doesn't do. Does not meet the Trails level. It's not as good as Xeno. It doesn't get you there. And then 358 over 2 days. It's like, we're going to try to kind of fill in some of the gaps, but it's not going to really work. So they had 3 games in a row that were this fucking Org 13 story. And I was like, finally, they're going to escape that and tell a new story that's not about fucking Sora. And then this is the one that's like completely nothing. This is the one that's like,
jeez, that's so depressing.
I was so excited for this one because I was like, if Kingdom Hearts is going to pull me back in, this is when they're going to do it.
Yeah, like,
oh jeez.
And I thought that's what was happening, but I guess I just misread that entirely.
No, you didn't. The bosses are so fucking fun. I'm definitely going to play the other 2 games because the bosses are so
watching you
fun.
and Dante go back and forth, it just kind of seemed like, John's totally bought in now, but he's just bought in on the fighting and stuff is really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, the shonen plot explosion at the end would be great in an action game. It's not an RPG. It's not an RPG scoped story.
Yeah.
Even more so than the others. And they could have done a 2-hour true end that was really solid. They could have had like a really explosive climax, and I would have probably come away happy. And I just didn't. It's just 3 10-hour games that become less interesting as you go because you know more and more of what's going to happen each time.
Yeah. And
that just sucks.
This is such your journey with Kingdom Hearts has been so conflicted.
Extremely.
I mean, it's Kingdom Hearts. I feel like 2 seems like one of the most divisive games ever. I definitely see the opinion a lot that 1 is actually the best one and 2 is really mixed reviews on Steam. It would be.
And 2 is the populist fave. That's one people remember as a kid that are like, yeah, it's so cool. They cut buildings in half at the end. It's great. And then it's really cool. It's extremely wonderful 101. It's great. But then they start with 3 hours of Roxas shit and they have 0 payoff for Roxas. And it's like, you don't know how to do this. You don't know how to write. Right. Read a book.
Read a fucking book.
Fuck. Trails people read books.
They do. I bet they do.
Takahashi reads books. I had to follow this up with like a really, really depressing Robin Hobb book where like the last, it's like a fantasy novel that's 700 pages and the last like 50 pages is just the main character being slowly tortured to death. And I got to the end like, all right, I think my brain is healed from the stupid of Kingdom Hearts, and now I need something else. I've got one more that I could get really heated about, and then a couple tiny things.
Okay.
Why don't we do the tiny things and then
okay, hit your couple tiny things.
Throw to Polly.
Do you just whip your tiny little things out here and we'll all marvel at your tiny little things.
And then I'll whip the big thing out near the end.
Monster. Just whump it out on the table. That thing's going to hit the table. It's going to like shake silverware off and everything. It's going to be crazy.
Hey, Rhett, anime's real good.
Anime's great.
I watched 2 seasons of Kaguya-sama. Love is War.
Haven't watched this one.
It's really fucking good. It's really fucking funny.
Didn't this recently just get a third season announced?
It's all out already. I just haven't watched it yet.
Oh, okay.
The third season just ended, and people were like, I think the last episode was like an hour-long special too, and they called it like the finale. And then apparently they immediately announced a movie something afterwards.
Jeez.
God, that's funny. Yeah, it's not the finale. It's not a series finale. I heard someone immediately say like, "Oh, this could have been a series finale," but they just chose not to.
They like called it farewell or something for real.
That's funny. The premise of the show is just it is two like very. It's at this very prestigious high school, and it's just like the top of the class, extremely smart class president boy, and then this like heiress, extremely brilliant lady who's the class vice president. And everyone is like, oh, are they look so good together. Are they dating? And then the premise of the show is that they are both extremely into each other, but both refuse to admit it because that would be like kind of losing face. That would be them kind of giving power to the other person. And both of them are far too prideful to allow that. And so the joke of the show is them going back and forth, trying to trick them into like a confession of love or asking them on a date or any gesture that indicates interest will constitute a win in the battle. So one of them is the character finally gets a smartphone, and the class president finally gets a smartphone, and the vice president, and then he's like, I want Kaguya's contact information, but obviously I can't just ask for it.
No, obviously.
And then she's off to the side, like, I'm not going to ask for his contact information. I'm going to force him to. After all, I've spent all this time subliminally influencing him to get a smartphone, and it shows these people that were using smartphones around him, and they were all hired by her over the last multiple months.
Oh my god!
Yeah, nobody uses smartphones.
No.
But if I don't get it, then all that preparation was for nothing. Or like all these like it's basically Death Note. It is Death Note tier back and forths, but for trying to get them
but for just like this very unserious thing. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, this sounds very delightful.
There's one exchange where they go back and forth where one of them they both say at the same time, "Oh, I forgot my umbrella," because they want the other person to offer their umbrella to walk through the rain, and they both obviously have an umbrella.
Yeah,
and it goes back and forth, and Kaguya realizes, "You say that you forgot your umbrella, but President, don't you always take the bike? Don't you generally take the bike to school? But today you took the train. Why did you take the train, class president?" It's this, like, his face, like, the direction is just constantly extremely funny. It's like, it literally is directed like Death Note. It's so fucking choice.
That's perfect. That is the perfect way to tackle something like this. This absolutely sounds lovely.
Yes.
Do they do like red and blue colored lights when characters are monologuing to themselves?
Absolutely. They like all the background goes black.
Fantastic.
I think it does like literally do the red light around Kaguya.
Nice.
The best one is whenever the president is thinking about like the worst case scenario, he's like, he imagines Kaguya going, "Oh, you thought you're asking me for my contact information? How cute."
Oh no.
I just like looking straight down.
You can't let that happen.
So, and then of course, in the first like 3 minutes of the show, so they explain the premise, and then the narrator goes, "So 6 months pass." The implication that neither of them has done anything. So the joke is obviously that they're both fucking idiots.
Yep.
It's just really funny. I was really I was really warmed by it, and then every now and then it gets dramatic, and every time it felt very earned and good to me. I was really pleased. Both season finales are very good. I think there's like one episode. Another thing I like is that it's fairly pretty chaste throughout. It's like I came off like a series of pretty ecchi comedies, I think, and this one is just not that at all. It every now and then dips into that humor, but I like that. I like that it generally doesn't
need that element to really fly. Yeah,
there's like one episode, and it's episode 9 of the first season, where it gets like kind of dicey, and where it's like kind of grody humor. No. Where it gets like just a little bit rapey in an ugly way,
much like Konosuba, much like episode 9 of Konosuba.
Yeah. Episode 1, season 1. I had the same thought. I was like, this is
same episode number too.
Yep, and then they never do it again the rest of the show. Yeah, it's like weird.
God, yeah.
So they don't do anything else like that. So that I wanted to mention that just as kind of a warning.
Gotcha.
And then, but beyond that, I think this is just absolutely charming. It sounds like the third season is absolutely charming. I think this kind of filled the hole in my heart that Ouran left, because I loved Ouran High School Host Club to bits. But then kind of the 1-2 punch of my ex-wife kind of just burning the show into me by playing it constantly, playing it as we were falling asleep. And I was just way overexposed to it. And the main character being voiced by Vic and doing his like absolute scummiest, horniest voice possible. And it's like, this kind of hurts my ability to enjoy Ouran. Kaguya, I think, juggles comedy and drama in the very similar ways. And it's about a bunch of awful rich people, which is also fun.
Hey, I just noticed something.
Yeah.
I just noticed something kind of wild.
Yeah.
And like, this doesn't really matter overall, but right now, Kaguya season 3 has a 9.16 on my anime list. It is the number 1 show. It has pushed down Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It'll probably fall because this just
it's just laws of averages and shit.
I have not seen Full Metal Alchemist not at the top in like over 10 years. Like, that's so kind of wild.
That's really good. And I'm imagining there's going to be a lot of revenge voting and shit coming up soon.
Yeah, this shit's fucking mess, but people who stuck with it really liked season 3, apparently.
Yeah, this might be something I check out, actually, because I really like the premise.
Yeah.
And I like it. Cool. It sounds very cute.
It
sounds like it's something that I can enjoy in the same vein as this, for the same reason that I like the Nagatoro anime, and that just like there's like a vibe here that I really like.
Yeah, it's definitely an anime comedy. It is definitely like a lot of little episodic bits, a lot of skits.
Yeah.
So if you can go in and appreciate that vibe, I think that this is just one of the most delightful ones of those I've seen in ages.
Neat.
Polly.
Yo!
What have you been up to?
Well, you might say I've been playing something that's been really hotly anticipated for a while. Something I'm going to bring to the show that I think like a lot of people are wanting to hear about. You know, it's been talked about for quite a while. I've been hyping it up. People have just been like, man, I've just been waiting so long for this to come out. It's finally here. I've played it all the way through it. And I'm here to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
I love this joke. I love this joke so much every single time. It's so good.
So, this one will be a bit of a short one because, I mean, there's not really much you need to talk about with this game. This is
I didn't think this was a short game at all.
Oh, no, it's not. This is a TMNT-themed beat-em-up, stylized, very much like Turtles in Time. So, like, if you know how to play any of those older TMNT beat-em-ups, you're going to be right at home. They expanded the gameplay and the move lists in a lot of really smart and simple ways that make it feel just super, super, super freshened up. It feels really fucking good to play. It feels really good to just beat the fuck out of foot soldiers. All those moves got the right amount of impact on them and just like did a solid job. Like this game looks and feels exactly the way that it needs to. It celebrates like everything about that late 80s, early 90s era of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, there's just references to everything all over the place. Just like loads of bosses from the TV show, like some really fucking wild, deep cuts that just like, when I saw the character, I was just like, I had not thought about that character from this show in over 25 years, and I just got my mind blown that somebody knows who that character is.
Wild.
So that was really fun, just kind of running into that kind of shit. But yeah, I like how this game feels a lot. There's lots of impact. The bosses are mostly fun. The level designs make sense. It's just too damn long. This game does not need to be 16 stages long. And I've only ever sat down and beat the arcade mode once. And it took an hour and 40 minutes. And I don't think no beat 'em up needs to be that long. I love Streets of Rage 2, and I think that game is still a little long in the tooth. That game still takes me almost an hour to finish. But it's just, what is here is good. It's just, you're giving me, like, I wish that this would have been, like, they could have done this in, like, episodes where there's, since it's, like, you know, it's a syndicated TV show, right? And they play that up to it, but then, like, do, like, here's one episode, and it's 5 stages. Here's another episode, and it's 5 stages. Or you could do, like, what we were talking about on Twitter, where you could do like the Outrun or Darius thing, where you just like, you finish a level and then it branches, or there's like a neat way to like, for levels to branch mid, like not just like a static choice, but like you have to do something to like go to the other branch.
Star Fox style.
Star Fox, yeah.
And then like, there's like, maybe each playthrough is like 6 or 7 stages, but there's like 16 total stages, so you can just branch off in different paths. Like, I wish they would have done something like that, because it's a hard game to sit down and want to just play all the way through. Story mode, like there's a story mode where you can like stop like between stages and stuff, but it also like that mode also has like a weird level up system that I kind of don't understand why it's there.
Because it's 2022 and every game needs RPG leveling now.
Yeah, like you earn extra health, you earn extra special bars, you earn like an invincible mode and stuff. It's just I don't know. And you you have to do it with every character, and there's like 7 of them, which I'm not complaining about, because all the characters are really, really different, and they feel wildly different. For as simple as this game is, every character still requires like a good deal of their own kind of strategies with how you approach enemies and bosses. So yeah, like I like this game a lot. I wish it wasn't this long.
It just feels like you just have to have so much gumption to just make an actual arcade style game now, because like if you do, people don't get it. Reviewers don't. I mean, that's probably been true for fucking 20 years. Like, it's just like so hard to just make a game like that now. Yeah, it's a good game. I like it. Like, I absolutely recommend it. I'm getting my physical copy here in a month. I'm totally gonna be happy with it. I just wish it wasn't this long. That's really my only complaint. Like, I mean, it's hard to kind of come down on a game when it's like, where it's like with Streets of Rage 4, I had a lot of problems with that game on a fundamental level, and how like its mechanics worked, and how a lot of certain things just felt geared toward a certain type of player and nobody else. Whereas this is just like, this is geared toward people that like to just punch and hit shit. It feels real good to do it. There's just too much of it. And that's maybe not the worst problem to have, I guess. Yeah. But it just makes it so you don't necessarily want to engage with it the way that people
I would I would throw down Streets of Rage 1 any day of the week. I always sit down in front of that game and play it any day of the week, because I can get in 40 minutes I'll have credits and I'll feel like I did something. And it's hard to do that with a game like this. Yeah. But it's a good game. It's a good game. Just it's just too long. So but anyway,
I think that's extremely fair.
So a much bigger thing that I did, I played a visual novel that's been looked forward to for quite a while. I've been anticipating it, been talking it up for a while now, ever since it was announced. I think a lot of people have heard me talk about it. A lot of people are familiar. Like, it's been on my stream before, so everybody knows. Like, everybody knows that the next game that I'm going to talk about is Corpse Factory.
I actually knew this one.
Yep.
As Corpse Factory finally came out.
Nice.
Very, very, very well run Kickstarter. That I did toss $50 to, so you cannot trust my opinion on this game whatsoever. I understand. They spent it was supposed to be out in January, but they spent an extra 6 months and a bunch of their own money to get an English dub done. Because the game was not originally going to have voice acting. But they went and they got a pretty top-notch group of voice actors and actresses for this. If you go look up the cast list, it's pretty like you will be surprised at the high-level talent that they pulled for this.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Corpse Factory it's a visual novel that centers around this idea that there's this website where you can upload someone's photo and they'll die. That's fun. And the fun catch of it is that shortly before they die, they'll receive a photo of their own corpse. And that's kind of like the real cool little the horror vibe that they add to it. So like the prologue chapter does like a real good job of setting all that up by putting us from the perspective of a girl who ends up getting fired from her job because she was set up by some bitches that she works with.
Oh, I saw that stream.
Yeah, bitches.
Skin crawling. It was so rough.
Yeah. The prologue is very good at jumping you into like what this story's all about. So like these people that get her fired, she's like, man, fuck those bitches. I'm gonna go back there and tear up the store and shit. And like she runs into this other person who's like, hey, have you heard of this murder website that I know about? So she uses it and she uploads a picture of the person that she thinks got her fired. And I won't spoil the rest of what happens because I think it's real good the way that it plays out. But I'll just say like the website worked in the way that it was intended to. And they do a very good job of setting up what it must feel like to be the victim of the Corpse Girl website. So that's kind of like your basic premise, like the whole like plug somebody's name into or plug somebody's picture into a website and they die is kind of like we can trace this back to like Jigoku Shoujo or Hellgirl.
Oh yeah. That's definitely my pull for.
But that was more kind of a supernatural, like it actually dealt with like afterlife and stuff like that, whereas like this is a lot different. So like after the prologue, like the game kind of just like jumps us right into we play from the perspective of quote unquote Corpse Girl, and we're going to be her for a very, very good portion of the game, and we find out that she's just kind of this normal girl with an office job, and she's a bit of a shut-in, thinks a little highly of herself. You can tell that there's some things that are maybe a little off about her personality, and like she's just not maybe not 100% maybe not 100% there. Maybe she's got a few things going on. But outwardly she lives a pretty normal life. And in getting to know her through her own internal monologues, we also find out the exact mechanics of how the Corpse Girl website works and how she's able to get people killed. And what really hooked me about this is that like her methods are all grounded in reality. There's not a lot of there's not any supernatural stuff going on here. She's able to get people to kill themselves by doing this thing that she does, and the only thing is she got kind of a shitty success rate. Turns out she's Corpse Girl, but not very good at it. So like we know that she got somebody killed at the start. We know that worked. But the more we're with her, the more like she's like taking these requests to get people killed. It's just like, wait a minute, it didn't work? So it kind of makes it interesting since it's both grounded in reality and not guaranteed to work. And it's only after she gets a couple of more friends on board that things start to like pick up, and she's able to like get the website success rate and notoriety up, and that's also when the story just kind of like kicks into fucking high gear and things start spilling every which way with like,
this is such a different direction than I was expecting, because I was just expected to be Hellgirl, and then this is so different.
This totally caught me off guard. I was not expecting this to be so
grounded.
More interested. Yeah. I was not expecting it to be so grounded and so just like tangible. Like, oh, like it makes sense. It's a little bit of a leap, but I understand what you're going for here, and this actually is very cool. And the fact that it's like so grounded in reality does make it a little more scary and a little trippy. But like once she gets more people on her side and things start moving, and you just kind of get a bunch of horrible people doing horrible things and making lots and lots of bad decisions, and that's the kind of theater you're in for. With this game, it's just kind of like, some shit's gonna go down, and we're just gonna be here to enjoy that ride, huh? So I guess like in terms of like the overall story, I won't say much more to avoid spoiling it, but I'll say that this is also kind of like, I guess it's the kind of story where I would warn you that if you don't have a good suspension of disbelief, you're not probably going to have a great time, because this is a very B movie in how it progresses and how it gets very melodramatic and contrived at certain points, so that, you know, like it's clearly having a lot of fun and it's wanting you to have this fun too. But if you're like somebody who watches CinemaSins, you're absolutely not going to enjoy this, because sometimes like you don't need to really explain things. Sometimes just be there for the ride, man, and enjoy it. And that's kind of the level that I enjoyed Corpse Factory on. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that the characters are a load of fun. Like getting to know them and the ways that they interact with one another and the way that those relationships grow over the course of this like 12 or 13 hour narrative. Just feels really good. And I also like have to give a lot of credit to the dude that actually wrote it, Zach Ford, I think is the name. Oh, I should have looked that up. I think it's Zach Ford. He's the main brain behind River Crow Studios. But like all of the end game writing here is just super, super delicious. Like he's got such a solid command of like characterization and inner monologues and the descriptive text. So many times on stream I just had to sit back and just go, wow, that was really fucking good. It's some of the most well-written prose that I think I've ever experienced in a VN. Just comes from like awesome. This really like I think that you could ascribe the word chuny to it. And I think that like you'd get the idea.
You're trying to grab me here.
I mean, it really is though. Like when you start getting into the head of the main character and like the way that she operates, like there is like, despite the level that like there is this like very dangerous side to her, she's also very fucking chuny. So, I guess the only other thing I'll say is that like I think like the game does touch on a lot of forms of mental illness. And I feel that it does so respectfully for the most part, like the ways in which like these characters kind of go in and out of their psychoses at times, and the way they exhibit their behaviors, it feels very researched and carefully written as to not be an offensive representation, despite the fact that we are dealing with the cast of characters that are all kind of shitty and awful and make very bad decisions. I don't really feel that the game is like saying, hey, this character has da-da-da and that's why they're a bad person. It's just that's sort of an element that like it leads them in a way. I guess like if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, if you're sensitive to mental illness sort of being at play in this way, I don't want to say to like be enjoyed by the audience. It's really not what it's doing, because I don't think that it's glorifying or trying to point an accusatory finger at anybody with these issues. And I think that like the things that it does write about, like body dysmorphia and obsessive compulsive disorders and things like that, it's not portraying those in any sort of negative light. They're just part of these people that just happen to be shitty people. And it's like that's something you're sensitive to. If you don't really want it, your mental health and your mental illnesses played around with like that, I guess, or you don't want them to be any kind of factor in a story, maybe that's, you know, something you should avoid. But it's not something that bothered me. So, you know, your mileage may vary, I guess. But I think I got out of this exactly what I wanted to get out of it. without knowing that it was giving me exactly what I wanted. Because I thought, oh, there's going to be this supernatural twist here somewhere. Like, it's going to be Hellgirl. I'm prepared for that. And the game just kept swerving me over and over again. Like, nearly every stream was just like, what the I did not know you were going to go that way. What is this game doing? And it does another cool thing that the visual novels never do, is like, when you get your ending, when you finish the game, you get an ending based on a couple of choices that you've made. And then you open an endings gallery. And then you can just select whatever ending you want to see after that.
Oh, nice.
You don't have to go back. You don't have to go back and make your decisions or anything. Like, it just opens all of the endings for you and says,
that's very kind.
Here you go. Like, that was such a cool thing. Like, I've never seen anything like that done before, and it made me very happy. Because I hate, like, if there's anything that I do not like about the visual novel formula, it's that stuff.
Mm-hmm. You made a choice at the start. Now you're locked out of the true ending.
Yeah.
It is the Will of Steins Gate.
Yeah, like, you don't have to... like you don't have to keep multiple save files and lock a few of them so you don't actually accidentally save over them, or have this be your junction save point. It's like, oh my god. Like, it's... I love visual novels, but I'm glad that I think more recent developments have just been kind of like made that stuff a lot gentler. And like, this is definitely like, hey, you want to go this route from now on? Which I know that this game did it this way because the choices you make don't actually affect the game terribly deeply. Like, you don't have like character routes in this game or anything. It's just you get a certain type of ending depending on some things that you did. But it doesn't like dramatically affect everything that happens afterward. So
that makes sense, because they couldn't just swap out the ending if a bunch of stuff prior had changed.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is like, this is not that kind of VN. Like, once you finish it, you can just go check the other endings. Like, they're all pretty good, honestly. They're all very solid, and like, just like, oh, they hit exactly the right note you need to for like this kind of like B-movie thriller kind of thing. And that's really what I enjoyed about it, is like the characters are great, the performances are fantastic, and just the overall tone and the way that it carries itself, even knowing that like maybe it's a bit contrived, like it still kind of carries itself with this confidence of telling a fun story, and you just kind of being into it. Like, had a whole chat that was totally into it, like, and we did 12 streams of that son of a bitch. So
awesome. You know about how long it was?
It took me because I was doing it on stream. It took me about 20 hours, but most people, I think, can probably finish it in 12 to 15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without necessarily letting every text box play out and whatnot.
Yeah. I think it is an acceptable length for a decently meaty visual novel.
Yeah. A nice thing that if you play it nonstop, you can do it in like 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
That's a very nice pace for a long game. It's nice.
Yeah, it feels real good when you can do that.
Just give her the old Cold Steel 3.
Yeah, there you go. That.
No, because you do that with Cold Steel 3, and then you keep doing that for a month straight, and then you finish it.
Then you finish Cold Steel 3.
Or you do that for Kingdom Hearts, and then still takes like 2 weeks.
Oh boy. How much of that time is just dreading that you have to play Kingdom Hearts when you get home?
Not a lot. Beating up Heartless.
Not a lot? Okay, you still like beating them up. Okay.
Still like beating up Heartless. You remember Legend of Mana, Polly?
Yes, that game's real good.
It just feels like Kingdom Hearts just feels like an evolution of Legend of Mana and just beating things up and feeling good.
I never thought of that. And I really like beating things up in Legend of Mana. I played through that game a number of times.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to derail your segment. I'm sorry.
No.
I played Legend of Mana after Kingdom Hearts 1, and I heard all that nice Shimamura music playing, and you beat the enemies, and the money pops out of them. And I was like, this is what you were doing. You're making modern mana. Cool.
Yeah. I'd never thought of that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something I need to think about. Like, I'd never thought of that, because I really like Legend of Mana a lot.
Oh, no. Something you think about is your finger hovers over the buy button for the story thus far.
Son of a bitch. John's doing everything he can to make this happen. That's what this is.
You were doing a much harder sell with Corpse Factory, I think.
Yeah,
it's very chuny.
Okay. It's chuny. It's kind of chuny. Norco is very chuny.
I own a copy. It's on my Switch.
Yeah,
it came through, and I got it downloaded.
Hey, how about Kickstarters? Right, good Kickstarters that like deliver. Good
Kickstarters are so nice.
Deliver on the thing that they say they're going to deliver on. That feels real good. That feels real fucking good. I even got my physical version. I'm very happy with it. They did a good job on that stuff. So,
I know that they're like high profile Kickstarters like Mighty Number 9 and whatnot that bombed so hard and burned people.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know. Shenmue 3. I don't know. But I think
the problem is games are expensive to make.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like people see like, oh, this Kickstarter got $3 million, and they're like, yeah, cool. That's actually like 10% of the budget.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, that's the thing with stuff like Corpse Factory or Queen's Wish 2 or all these other games where
much smaller
get. It's like I like the Kickstarters that are not funding the new multi-million-dollar Mega Man game, but like we are paying the salaries for these people to work on a game for a year. Yeah. And even then, like it's usually not even that much. But like that, just kind of the little small business.
Yeah.
We're funding you to make this game, and then they just do it.
And they just
because they've already made games before.
Yeah, like Corpse Factory, like the Corpse Factory devs have done 2 successful Kickstarters prior to this, so that was why it was real easy for me to kind of look at that history and go, okay, I'm probably okay here. These guys can finish video games, and they got $50,000, and then they did that, and then they paid out of their pocket to get the voice acting done. So, Lord knows what that cost. I mean, I know some VA rates. I know what some VA rates are, but in like that's like a 20-hour visual novel. If you like let every line of dialogue play, counting multiple takes, like wow, y'all put in some extra work on this son of a bitch. Jesus. Yeah,
I just really, like Kickstarters can disappoint you a lot. I have a few Kickstarters that just I like look at my backing history and I know it's like, oh, that hasn't been updated in 4 years. Okay.
Oh no.
That one's gone. But if you just like, oh, they have a demo, they've made games for, oh, they've had successful Kickstarters before, then it's such a difference with the people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then I've just always had good experiences at this point because I just know what pans out.
Yeah. Good.
My Kickstarter. Yeah. My Kickstarter history is pretty good, except for the Mighty Number 9.
Yeah. Yeah. My Mighty Number 9 experience was that they just never sent me my game. So I had to just get Rhett. Like, Rhett, send me your DRM free copy.
Yeah. And then you took it and threw it in the trash after playing.
Yeah, that game was ass.
Life is good.
Yeah, life is good. Video games are good.
Yeah. I mean, 2 out of the 3 of us had really good experiences.
Yeah.
Video games are good, and anime is good.
Yeah. Yeah. How about a break?
Yeah.
All right, we will be back in like 3 to 5 minutes for the next exciting adventures.
I promise 5 minutes. I'm not hearing any of this 3 to 5 nonsense.
Yeah, it's in the contract.
2 to 3 minutes. I was like, wait a minute.
In the contract. All right, we'll be back.
The new contract, shorter breaks.
Shorter breaks, yeah. Well, it's the American way, man.
Weekly podcast, shorter breaks, longer podcasts, longer streams. We gotta get those numbers higher.
Let's head on over to the money zone.
We will be right back.
What's up, nerdos?
What?
That's my throat warmer up.
That's good throat exercising out there. That's your. That's what I do before I deep throat.
Oh, I thought that's what you did after.
No, it's before. You don't want to know what happens after. It's that's an entirely different sound. Swear you were hearing some sounds from another dimension and that shit. It'll make you feel like you were coming on another dimension too. Don't worry. All right, guys, we have big news.
Yeah?
Big news has just come across my email inbox, and I feel that I would be remiss if I did not read it.
Okay.
This comes to us from Denpasoft, who have made some Anime Expo announcements.
Oh my god. I don't know what this is.
Neither do I. I'm about ready to find out with everybody. They say we're so excited to let you know that we've licensed titles from the 3D CG creator Blue Arrow Garden. Look forward to these titles coming soon. Chintatsu's Summer Vacation, Hiragi's Special Lesson, and now hold on to your pants. Hold on to your pants. I'm about to blow your mind. It's finally.
Or maybe drop your pants, depending on what
Maybe drop your
these
pants
are.
for this, especially for this next one. Are you ready? I don't know that you're ready. Succubus Shelly and Succubus Shelly 2. Holy shit, it's finally happening.
Bigger announcement than Macross getting licensed.
Yeah, fuck Macross. Succubus Shelly 1 and 2? Get out of here.
Finally, after all these years.
Fucking finally. This girl has come on her tongue in this screenshot that they have provided. Oh, here's
there's a lot. I saw.
Here's something that might make
classic Eric Euro visual novel gore screaming show announced by Just USA.
Here's something that might perk some ears up.
A lot of
and NTR Muso Sareru Fujiki-san.
Oh,
NTR is right in the title.
There you go. What was it? One more time.
NTR Muso Sareru Fujiki-san.
It looks like there aren't any great matches for your search. Oh, wait. I don't know if this is it.
Nothing?
No.
Nothing. It might not. They might not have the English name yet.
Yeah.
In there.
We'll see.
You probably look up something like Fujiki-san. You might find something. Yeah, NTR. Hot titles coming from Denpasoft, who I don't know that I've ever played a game by. It just ended up in my email inbox for a good on Denpasoft, Succubus Shelly, the duology.
Oh, that's what I know them from. They're all over Manga Gamer. When you look down their smut stuff.
Okay,
they made a ton. I think they made a bunch of like RPG Maker stuff.
Maybe.
I think they're a publisher on. I'm looking on Steam. They published a Nekopara.
Okay. Did they what about that one visual novel with the trans lady that I thought that they skipped the sex scenes for because they didn't want to write it? I
don't think that was them.
You don't think so? I don't know.
These are much more explicit ones. Even that did have sex.
Okay.
I'm trying to find one that I recognize.
I'm trying to ask Steve if they own anything from them. It's hard though.
MangaGamer.com/R18.
This is a great segment, by the way. We're doing real good.
Okay.
Why do I know that?
I could start mine if you want.
Yeah, or we could keep talking about erotic visual novels that we're never going to read.
Speak for yourself. I've downloaded several things.
Somebody out there is going to get Succubus Shelly, the Succubus Shelly 1 and 2, and they're going to have a good time. And God fucking bless them.
Absolutely.
I remember what it was. I was looking up. Remember how I mentioned that Rabby Ribby doesn't have a Wikipedia page?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the publisher, Sekai Project, does have a wiki page. And right, they're the publisher of Heart of the Woods.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I know them.
So Sekai Project on Wikipedia, Heart of the Woods is listed as their last game, February 15th, 2019.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody has bothered to update, even though when you go on Steam, they've put out 30 more games since then.
Oh, jeez.
Just there are so many visual novels that people can't even bother to update Wikipedia to list them.
What a problem to have. Remember, like, when we just never got visual novels, and now we got all the visual novels.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Kagura Games. I was not thinking of Denpasoft.
Okay, yeah. I still don't know what I would have ever got from Denpasoft.
Did
they do you and me and her, or was that no?
That was Jazz.
That was Jazz.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Going on Manga Gamer, I found out that Eventical is 35% off. You can get it for only $30 right now.
Well, there you go. Eventical sounds real good.
Best RPG of the year.
Best RPG of the year last year. Rhett!
Gonna tie this all together. Sekai Project and Denpasoft are kind of the same thing.
Okay, I thought so.
Denpasoft is like the adult-only publisher version.
Okay,
it's called.
So they're doing that like AD Vision / soft cell pictures kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah. Denpasoft as a Wikipedia page just goes to Sekai Project.
Where we have our classy label, and then we have our smutty label that you have to go down the alley and give a few hand jobs to get to.
They published Narcissu. They published Planetarian.
Oh, wow.
I figured there was something. I had seen that name. I guess it was Planetarian.
Narcissu is very good.
All the Grisaia games.
Well, those do have porn in them.
Not on Steam, but they published Denpasoft. Sekai Project published Heart of the Woods, like you said.
Okay, that makes sense because I think I went there. I had to go there to get the R18 patch for Heart in the Woods.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's probably why I get emails from them. I was wondering that for like the last year. It's like, why am I getting emails from these guys? I don't know. I mean, good on you. I'm happy you're selling Eroge and you're having a good time with it, but you know.
Just posted a
There you go. Got you some Eventical.
We have at least one. We have one friend of the show that played both Eventical and Eventical 2 back to back because it's literally better than Trails. It's literally Trails but better.
Yeah.
Like Kingdom Hearts cannot compete with post Trails depression. You wouldn't have that if you played a good game like Eventical.
No depression after that. Maybe some post nut clarity.
There you go. In that post nut clarity, that's when you play Trails. It's an endless cycle.
There you go. I had those Right Stuff catalogs. I still have a few of them. Back when Right Stuff used to print their big quarterly mags full of things that you could buy. I was a Got Anime member, by the way. That was their anime purchasing club where you got 10% off. Yeah, and they did that Got Milk. It's the same font and everything.
Oh my God.
It's real dumb. That was like 1999. I'm old.
Life is good.
Hey, Rhett.
Hi.
Do you want to talk about stuff?
I got a lot of stuff. I'm not sure what to talk about.
Uh-oh.
So I finished Cold Steel 3, and as I said, I was putting 4.5 hours into that bad boy every day.
Yeah.
And then it just stops. You're done. You're finished.
Done. You've got nothing else. The bottom is dropped out.
Yeah, it's always a weird feeling of like, oh, now what? Like I told you, I had that moment where I just instinctually open up Steam after eating dinner, and it's like, oh right,
it's over,
it's done. And it's just like, well, okay, uninstall. Now what? So
now what?
I've been bouncing between a lot of very small things. I've been watching a lot of anime.
That's the way to do it. When you finish a long RPG.
Small things.
Almost on the verge of making a musical reference I don't even get. But and I also was like, hey, I've got a VR headset that I never do anything with.
Right. Well, you do something with it, but
maybe I should actually play some of the games I have.
Yeah, maybe play some actual games in VR.
Yeah. So real quick, just going down the list, I played Pistol Whip, which is it's an auto scroller in VR.
Mm-hmm.
Your character just automatically goes down like a hallway or a city street, and you just shoot enemies that come at you, kind of like Virtua Cop or something. And the music's really good.
Ooh,
cool, good.
But like, there's this whole music game element to it that you can kind of ignore, but if you're going for score, it's important, where you're supposed to shoot on the beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it's very cool. You just feel extremely cool and powerful when you're doing that. And then, like, you literally just have to, same as Super Hot VR, of like, they can only hit you in the head. So if an enemy shoots, just immediately duck in real life to dodge the bullet. And it's just, it made such a strong first impression to me where I'm like, oh, this game's better than Super Hot VR. Like, was so blown away by how immediately fun it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you play like 6 or 7 levels and you're like, okay, I see the building blocks these are all made out of. Oh. It's still very fun, but it's not like quite
when
like
the illusion breaks a little bit.
Not that it broke, but it was like, okay, this is a very fun video game, but it is not like this life-changing experience.
Okay.
But it's still very fun. I'm still going to get back to it. There's like a bunch of levels and there's like a campaign mode. And the campaign is like, hey, this is for experienced players only. And like, I'm playing on normal and it's very difficult. So it's like, oh, for once you actually mean it for real, probably. So like, normally I don't just do like single level time trials, but it's been pretty fun so far.
Cool.
And I always cheat and just do 2-handed pistol mode. Basically just John Wick it.
Yeah. Why would you not play a game? Why would you not play a shooting game like that if you had the opportunity?
Yeah. Because I guess some people were saying that like certain VR controllers, you can like pass them between each hand. Mm-hmm. Like throw the controller into your left hand to shoot enemies on the left, like badass stuff like that.
Yeah.
The ones I have though are kind of curved. They mold to each hand. You really can't swap between one controller that way.
Yeah.
Because it would be extremely uncomfortable using
a
the
right and a
controller.
left. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I got 2 guns. It's fine. Makes the game a little bit easier, but I'm also struggling a bit, so it's fine. I played a little bit of Vacation Simulator, which is the sequel to Job Simulator, which I have not played.
I remember hearing about Job Simulator, but
Job Simulator was like one of the real early VR showcases.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that this one wasn't as good. Mm-hmm. But this is the one I got because it was in a bundle probably. And it's fine. I think I realized a bit in, this is kind of actually just a kid's game. And then I even saw a review that was like, Vacation Simulator is a great way for your children to play it around in VR. And I'm like, okay.
Gotcha.
So it's like, it's not particularly fun or funny.
No. Okay. Yeah. VR toys can be interesting, but if you're not like, if there's not like a layer of something there to make it interesting, then, you know.
Yeah. Like it's a lot of mini games and they are actually pretty well done, but it was like a little childish in tone.
Right.
Like, but then it's also kind of hard. Like one of them was like building sandcastles in 3D and they give you actual blueprints, like top view, side view, front view. It's like stuff that I actually studied in engineering classes. And it's like, this isn't trivial. Like this is harder than I would think that it would be for actual like real young. I guess real young kids aren't supposed to do VR though. So maybe, I don't know where exactly they're aiming for. But played around in that. It's fun. It's just, I don't like the gimmick of it's kind of weird because it's a bunch of robots and the whole joke is that the robots are kind of clueless and they're talking about how much fun you're having all the time. But then it's like, but maybe I'm kind of not actually having a ton of fun. Meta layer whiff.
Oof.
I don't know. I will probably dick around in that more. Like, I think with VR games, especially, I do not tend to be as nearly as much of a completionist.
I mean, it seems like they are physically a little more demanding than most games.
Yeah. That's why when the new game from the creators of Myst, Abduction, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Like, you can play that in VR, which is terrifying because that is not a game I'm going to finish in VR if it's like a 20 to 30 hour serious ass puzzle game.
Right.
Because even the reviews are like, oh yeah, this is a game where you have to move around a lot because solutions will not just be in the same general area as the puzzle, which again, like Myst, like Riven. But I'm like, when I'm in VR, I'm like on a clock where it's like, I want to do like a 20 to 30 minute session at most.
Yeah.
So like a real serious ass puzzle game sounds a little scary. I just want something maybe a little lighter because
I think that's an adventure game.
Yeah,
there's puzzle games where you have a discrete puzzle you're working on, and then there are adventure games where you're walking around a whole world solving puzzles that connect with each other.
I've played a real puzzle game on PlayStation VR, and when you get stuck in VR, it's so frustrating because you're like, then you're you feel the headset on your head weighing you down, and like it's a pain in the ass to take it off and look on guides online. You just, I don't have the VR legs to do long sessions yet.
Yeah.
I dicked around a little bit in VR chat exclusively to look at the HoloLive worlds that they had made.
Aww.
So VR chat though is funny. So it is a free program. I don't even think you actually need VR to use it.
No, I don't think you do.
So you load the game up, and the first thing is like, "Welcome to VR chat. Please don't harass people."
Good,
and then you get to like
good lead in.
Good lead in. And then you get to like the second screen. You're in like your personal home hub world, and it's like, here's what constitutes harassment. And it's this whole list of like getting close to people, like when they don't want you to, like putting your hand in somebody's face, like this whole list of things. I didn't read it too long because it's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not here to
interact with people.
Yeah. And then like I load up the world, and then like during the loading screen, it's like, here's how to deal with people that are harassing you.
Oh,
how to report people. Like every tutorial
for the first part of the tutorial is just, harassment.
The entire tutorial is like, don't harass people. Please don't harass people. Here's how to deal with being harassed. I'm like, oh my God.
Maybe you know what? I think they might have a harassment problem.
They might.
Maybe this game should be $3 to weed out some children or something. I don't know. I did not see anybody. It was fine. It was very cute, but I don't know what else there is to do because if I'm not looking to interact with other people, that I don't think that's really actually much of a game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like you went in for one specific purpose.
Yeah. And then I found another purpose where somebody had made a world where like you go up and press a button and it turns you into a HoloLive member. And then you keep that form wherever else you go.
Well, there you go.
Beautiful.
So I became my own waifu, and it was like, cute. So this is a segment that might be longer than I played the game. I played a game called Ballistic NG, which is it Wipeout, the PlayStation racing game that's no longer around anymore?
Yeah.
So they just made that, and it's a 2-person team, and it's kind of crazy that they made a Wipeout clone.
Yeah.
And it's also playable in VR.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played the actual Wipeout on PlayStation VR, and this immediately gave me that same sense of like, holy fucking shit, this world is huge. I'm going so fast. Oh my God. I've done one race, 5 minutes. I need to lay down.
I need to puke.
Like I didn't really get fully motion sick, but I think if I had kept going, I would have. So it's like, okay, this is cool for extremely short bursts.
Tech is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like I paused the game at one point to just, catch my breath and like look around, and like the scale of the world was just crazy.
Right.
Like you're sitting in this huge spacecraft and then looking down at the ground, and the ground feels like it's like 30 feet below you. Like, oh my God, it's so crazy.
That's
and
nuts.
And as a racing game, it feels exactly like Wipeout, which means I don't think I like it that much. Those games.
Yeah, those games are rough.
The stick sensitivity is so much. You just tap it to the left and you go flying into the wall.
Like I could never handle Wipeout.
I've only played Wipeout in VR, so it's like the roughest learning experience you can possibly get. Yeah. Where you're doing first-person cockpit in VR and just like, oh, this is fast. Oh, I'm in the wall. I watched a lot of anime as well. I'm gonna more rapid fire.
Cool.
Sci-fi action show called Planet With. This is a show that the author obviously watched and enjoyed Gurren Lagann back in the day.
Wait, Rhett, is it bad? Because if it's bad, you can say more like Planet Whiffed.
Oh no, it was extremely good. This was
still good.
Very closely, probably my favorite of the 4 I'm going to mention real quick.
Nice.
Cool. Nice.
I think it did kind of whiff right at the end, which was disappointing.
More like Planet Whiffed.
Woo! It's tricky because it's like the main character is very compelling at the start because he's angry and wants revenge. And then the overall story is, hey, revenge isn't the greatest thing.
Right.
Maybe you should seek forgiveness instead, or forgiveness and acceptance. So I felt like, you kind of did cop out on a big final battle there for a bit. But it was extremely fun, extremely Gurren Lagann. Like they kept escalating and more than I thought they were going to. This is a show that has like a dragon fighting an interstellar armada at one point.
Good.
it's just extremely stupid and cool. Like, yes, this show didn't have a high score, but I saw it was like 110% my style, really.
Yeah, good. Awesome.
I watched a show called Banana Fish.
That's a great name.
Which is a really goofy name for one of the darkest shows I've watched in a long time.
Oh, dear. Oh.
This is... Oh, God. I don't even know where to start with this one. It's a boy tries to take on, like, mafia leaders. Mm-hmm. So it's like gang warfare versus the mafia. Mm-hmm. And his backstory is rough. It is on the level of Ren from Trails in the Sky. Like he has been violently hurt by these people and is out for revenge.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a lot. It's very, very good, but it is a lot. Mm-hmm. So the name comes from this drug that is. It's very obvious early on that it's a drug. At the first, I think that banana fish is, maybe it's a person. I'm like, it's probably a drug.
It's probably a drug, yeah.
It's a drug. It's a drug the mafia is working on. And then, so there's a bit of conspiracy, but then it really kind of devolves into just a lot of violence. It's a lot. And then the ending is extremely good. I thought it kind of lost me a bit towards the end. And then but then the finale was extremely good. I was like, oh man, probably actually the best show I watched, but also like so far out of my usual comfort zone.
I added this at one point. I think it just looked really good.
It's very good. Like it comes highly recommended from not just me, but a lot of other people. I watched a show called Wasteful Days of High School Girls because goddamn did I need something lighter after Banana Fish.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, probably need a palate cleanser there.
This was the good palate cleanser of like, I don't want to think when watching a show for a bit. And the way in which this delivered was kind of funny because the main character, they all, like the 8 main girls have very goofy nicknames. Mm-hmm. The main one is named Baka.
Fantastic.
Her character trait is extremely stupid. In the last episode is just a character study on how extremely stupid she is. The last episode is she's going to fail her classes and have to repeat the year, so they don't want that to happen, so they study really hard, and then she goes to the bathroom and forgets everything. She literally shits out the information.
It's related to Wasteful Days of High School Boys, right?
No, I don't think. No, they're not related at all.
What? Oh my God.
They just have extremely similar titles where I was just like, hey, they made that show, but it's called Girls instead. But that show is like the much more well-known one.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I knew. I can't believe they are related. I was sure they were related somehow. That's so funny.
As far as I know, no connection.
Yeah, there's no reason I thought that. I'm realizing.
I pointed out that they have extremely similar names, except one is Days of High School, the other one is Days of High School Girls.
God, that's funny.
And then I watched this in like 3 days. This just finished airing. As soon as I saw the premise for the show, I was like 110% in. Mm-hmm. The show is It's Your Boy Combing. This is the show, Reverse Isekai, the famous Chinese military strategist from like the year 260 dies and is reborn in modern day Japan and becomes a music producer.
Okay. Okay.
It's so...
That's a
so
premise.
Stupid.
That feels like they're getting the premises for this shit these days, just kind of like out of an AI generator.
It's so weird. So basically, he was a military strategist and he wanted to live in a peaceful era. So it's a peaceful era now, in theory, according to the show. It's not, actual warfare like China was back then.
Sure.
Because he was like, have you ever heard of Romance of the Three Kingdoms?
Yeah, who hasn't?
Like it's that era where like China was 3 different nations and they were all at perpetual war with each other. And he was like a pretty notable figure in that. And they give you a lot of history lessons that mean kind of nothing in this if you haven't studied that, because it seems like extremely in-depth whole thing, obviously.
The people that are into Romance of the Three Kingdoms are real deep into Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
And there's a character in the show who represents that, of being like, you're not the real Coming. Prove it. Why did you do this specific thing? And then he immediately gives an answer, and the guy's like, well, I don't know if you're the real one or not, but we can talk shop about this for hours, so I'll hire you. So basically, he comes to modern day Japan and meets the singer and is immediately taken with her beautiful voice. And like, even having watched the show, I'm not sure how they finagle this, where he's like, I'll be your producer. I'll be your tactician. It's so weird because he's also, you know, fish out of water. Oh, I have nowhere to stay. You know, I'm just dropped into this world.
Right.
Anime is so good.
It's so silly. So basically, the first couple episodes are just like, she has a gig at a music festival, but oh no, there's 2 stages like competing at the same time, like because it's a big festival. So he's got to use his military tactician skill to get the audience over to her stage. It's very fun and stupid. They kind of lay off that part right after the intro and do a lot more character focused stuff, and it's very good. Like, even though it is show based on a manga that is clearly still running, I was really happy with how the 12 episode run, which is pretty short.
A good place to stop.
They definitely ended at a super good place that leaves you satisfied.
Hey, it's your boy Kong Ming.
It's the name of the show is perfect.
Fuck. I love anime comedies.
So it's like, it's not the most amazing show, but I had a real good time with it.
Cool.
Good.
The myriad of small things I've been up to.
All the small things. Yeah.
So I think next is John.
Do you believe so?
All right. So Kingdom Hearts sucked up my soul in a bad way. What another thing sucked up my soul in a good way. Cecile, if you're listening, Cecile's reading Umineko episode 2 right now. I read Umineko episode 3. I'm not going to spoil things, but I am going to kind of talk about my impressions, and I think that it would be better to get it just completely. If you aren't familiar, if you're like in the like, this is probably going to fade into your brain if you're going to read Umineko in like 3 or 4 years. I've absorbed a lot of this stuff, and it did not impact my ability to enjoy it. But yeah, Cecile, anyone who's like actively reading it, I think dip maybe. So I read Umineko episode 3. I read 1 and 2 back to back in January, and then just now the fire lit within me again, and I was ready to read more Umineko.
Ready to love again.
All right, I think I'm going to say something I don't think I've ever said in our like 8 or 9 years of.
I'm bracing myself
of this podcast. I think this piece of media kind of triggered me.
Oof.
I was like, wow, that fucked me up. And then the next morning I woke up and was just like thinking about it for like an hour straight and getting to work like, and then like kind of pushed it down. And then the next morning it was like thinking about it, and it was like kind of flushed, not like horny or embarrassed, but just like it's fogging up my brain. Like, not like I'm angry, but not quite angry. Like it was like controlling me in a way that felt like physical. Multiple days after finishing it.
Oh my god! I like the ha version where I just kind of imagine Vash the Stampede sitting on the bench eating the donuts. These are so great! I'm having a great time. Just tears streaming down his face. The donuts fall to the ground, and that's the moment John Thayer breaks.
Yep, that's about right. The degree to which the character in this story is manipulated, and how that mirrored me being manipulated as a player very directly. It is awe-inspiring in how effective it is. I loved all of this. I was having a blast the whole time. This is when it gets really chuny. is when it gets like witch stuff. It's great. It's so fucking good. But it's like talking about Cold Steel 3, like it all kind of like you could talk about the whole rest of it, but it all kind of falls into the back of your brain. You compare it with like the last 20 minutes, last 10 minutes. Cause this game gaslights you.
Oh, it goes so hard. Like, me and Rhett were watching this go down. Me and Rhett knew where this particular episode of Umineko went. And we were kind of having that moment of just like laughing about it because it's like, oh, he does not know what he's in for, you know, but not really having thought like, how is that going to tie to real world trauma? And then when that started hitting, it was just like, cool, I feel like an ass.
No. It is so okay. It's all just a story.
I know. Fine. But in that moment, you're like, oh God, I didn't think of that.
Yep. It fucked with me so much. And then I had a moment where like the next day or like a couple days later, I made a joke in the chat, like, all right, I'm back. I'm feeling good now. I'm ready. And then like a half hour later, I was like, no, I'm not. No, no. I'm still so mad.
Witches are real.
But, oh, don't tell me that. Witches aren't real.
Magic is real.
Magic is not real.
I don't know.
Say it in red. I got a chill going down my neck just trying to say that to you right now.
Holy shit! Dude, I don't know that you should be playing Umineko in the near future.
I don't think it's going to get worse than that. I think that was going to be the most that... I think that's going to be the one that was most personally...
This is a story that was set up to do this specific thing. Like, it was written for this very specific purpose. Like, they wanted that moment, and then they got it, and it's just like, well, you know, if you've had, certain experiences in life, that might hit you a different way.
If you have trouble trusting people, trusting things... this could hurt.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
And they lay it on so thick in this episode.
Yeah. And it's Umineko is so deep, is so entrenched with gender shit. Yeah. It is like constant. Like, this is the one that starts with like a 15-minute monologue about how much Ava was mistreated as a kid because she was a girl.
Yeah, it's really fucked.
And then but then there's like these layers of irony with like Battler being, like, oh God, it's so dense. Mm-hmm. Like this is the one that like this is the series that ends in the way episode 2 ends. Like, it's so dense and it makes me laugh really hard too with the way they play with gender stuff. Mm-hmm. And then that all ties into the trust thing. It just made me like intensely conscious of like the ways that past relationships have affected my like issues with women, like as a concept. And that's a really dark headspace for a story to put me in. That's really rough for me.
Yeah.
And I feel very at peace with who I am. I definitely feel like I have talked about all this at length in therapy with other people. I feel I am fine. And then, but this just kind of put me back in that headspace of not being fine. And that was real rough.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a good place to go back to sometimes. Like, sometimes you like a story that can take you to a place that you've not been to for a while. And you kind of like, you get like those feelings again, but it's I'm just visiting. But when you're so close to it still and you try to go back there in this way, it's maybe not so comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like ending the story. Just like, this is why you don't trust witches.
Ah, damn. But they're so pretty though. They're so pretty.
Yeah. So yeah, that was, that's as deep as I feel like getting into that. That fucking sucked. It was so rough. It was extremely good.
Rotten as hell,
really
though.
Good at this, but fuck. Oh my God.
I'm just thinking of me and Polly back in January being like, oh, you should keep going to episode 3. That's the best one.
Oh man, like in January. Can you imagine having read that in January?
Oh my God!
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh my fucking Christ!
This is the. Have you? I swear, there's a comic I saw a while ago of like person crying watching anime, like saying, "Oh my god, this fucked me up," and then recommending it to a friend immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
I just am I'm extremely sturdy, and my version of getting fucked up is, I think, a lot less intense than what it might be for other people.
Right.
I'm realizing.
Right.
So yeah, it can be rough. So yeah, I'll get to chapter 4 at some point. But yeah, that hit me in a rougher way than anything in Higurashi did.
Yeah. Umineko definitely goes way deeper into just like those kind of emotional, just those visceral emotional things. Yeah, I think Umineko goes way deeper than that.
Which you wouldn't expect, because Umineko is the one that's also like, okay, we got all these murder mysteries, and we got all the Phoenix Wright shit, and we have like all this fate shit. It's so many. It's juggling so many things at once.
Doing a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that it actually still sticks these big emotional beats is nuts to me. Yeah. It is just watching an absolute master craftsman doing something so over the top ambitious, and then like still making it land is just wild. So even if the answer arcs aren't quite up to the same tier, I think I'll still come away very glad that I engaged with this.
I do believe episode 3 was actually rewritten too, because I think he had he writ a version of episode 3, and for some reason, like the response to episode 2, he was just like, okay, got to trash this and do something else. And episode 3, the current episode 3 is what came of that.
My understanding was that the murder mysteries in episode 2 were very hard.
Yeah.
And also they had all the shit with the magic shit, and people just didn't really understand the rules of the universe.
Yeah.
And then episode 3, it basically just has a whole tutorial. It has a character explain, you don't take this at face value, you don't do this. And then the mysteries are easier up until the red maze.
Oh man. When we start the red web. Oh my fucking god.
The red web.
That's
got my wires crossed there. They got me because I was not engaging. I was so above all this fucking Danganronpa shit. I was like, no, I do not give a shit. I am just here for the Chuny shit. I'm just here for the cool witches. I don't care. And then this one, the tutorial made me care, because they made me like start to see that it was enough to be like, oh, okay. Oh, I thought of a couple things, but right before the character said it, and I felt super smart. And then I started thinking harder again, and I started thinking really hard. And then they dropped the atom bomb at the end of a mystery on you.
That sounds like it worked though, because I think Ryukishi's general overall thing was he didn't want the players to stop thinking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that was like the super important goal of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, like in 2, it was like he was telling me to don't stop thinking, and I was like, fuck you. I'll do what I want.
I'm gonna enjoy.
I'll read your stupid book however I want, and then I played this one, and then I was like, okay, yeah, this is actually really fun. I guess I'll play it the way you want me to play it. So yeah, that's Umineko. It's VNs.
They're powerful. They're powerful media.
Yeah. VNs will get you.
At least Umineko, like, even if it's gonna like tear your heart out, at least it's gonna do it while having some bitchin' tunes while doing it.
Yep.
God, I listened through. I have like 10 different tracks I've looped quite a bit. All right. Pull myself out here. There. One more thing. I started Umi episode 4. Got to the point where it's gonna do a long flashback to somebody's sad backstory in a boarding school.
We out.
Like, nope.
I'm out.
Nope. And then I played Phantasy Star 4 nonstop for 3 days, and I think I'm near the end of it.
Oh, where are you at?
I'm in the air castle. I just got killed by Lashik.
Oh yeah, that fight's rough.
Maybe that's why I stopped. I remember Air Castle from playing that game when it came out. and then not anything after that.
There's a part in that game I know most people quit at. It's a tower.
Is it the first Zeo fight?
No, it's a very long dungeon.
Air Castle was very long.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. When me and Beepner did it, I think it was like 3 videos or something. So.
Whoa.
Well, I honestly, like I was for the start of the game, I was and this was partially because I had to replay the beginning twice because I lost my save 3 hours in because I didn't understand the emulator. Oops. For a little bit, I was like, this is really breezy. I don't know. Everything is moving so fast. There's no weight to any of the fighting. I don't know. I'm not sure if this is gonna be the one for me, y'all. But like, once you get a little ways in, they start having they have a couple like hard bosses. Yeah. And the dungeons start getting a little bit beefier. It's less just like straight lines. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, yeah, after I was just a little bit ways in, I was like completely satisfied with how it was working. Yeah. Because the enemies are hitting me nice and hard. I'm thinking a lot about my resources in the dungeons. This was colored because I had a friend who's huge into Phantasy Star 2. Who complained to me over the last like decade. I've absorbed that she doesn't love Phantasy Star 4 to the same extent, and a big part of it is it not being quite as like weighty as an RPG. Right.
It's not mean.
Phantasy Star 2 is, I would say, quite weighty.
Yeah, it's weighty and mean and very mean. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I kind of. I play Phantasy Star 1 and 2, and both times I gave up at a certain point and started looking at maps and frame skip grinding. And I think in both games, they just kind of completely lose anything when you do that because Phantasy Star 2, there's like 10 minutes of story total throughout the whole game. Yeah. If you're not exploring, if you're not getting joy out of like exploring and mapping stuff out, then there's no game left basically. And then I want to replay the Switch version of Phantasy Star 1.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I want to play like the nice like Game Boy Color Dragon Quest remake version of Phantasy Star 1, where you're still mapping out the dungeons, but it does it with a nice little auto mapper in the corner as you do it. Yeah. And then they tweak the numbers to account for you not wandering around as much.
Yeah, it definitely was a solid and smooth experience. Yeah, I got caught on a couple of the progression switches, but other than that, it's a real good game.
Yeah, because I like my experience with 1 and 2 was like, yeah, I kind of like this. This is, I respect this. I didn't really form an emotional connection with them. Right. Yeah. I think I could have a really good time playing 1 in that kind of trimmed down way. And 4 is so good. 4 is so completely extremely fun and excellent.
Yeah, like it's just, hey, look, we modernized this in smart ways for the 1990s, and it's just like, oh, this feels like a good RPG of the era, and it doesn't feel like it's lagged behind a generation or so.
Yeah, it feels like a good Square SNES game. Like it feels like that. Which was like one of my favorite kinds of video game. Yep. Especially with those, and then it has those extremely classy comic book panel cutscenes.
Oh, those are so good. That was originally going to be a Sega CD game, and those were going to be anime scenes. But
interesting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, they did a great job.
They did a fantastic job of making it work without that extra.
How expensive was that cart when it came out, though?
I paid $80.
Yeah.
That's $80 of 1990 money.
I think that was like one of the biggest games ever at the time.
Yeah, it was huge.
A whole like 32 megs or something.
It was 32 megs. It was a 32. I think it was I think it was the first 32 meg cart. But yeah, they made you pay for that shit. It was $80 fucking dollars.
Well, if y'all had just bought a Sega CD, they wouldn't have had to do that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you imagine though? An Sega CD exclusive Phantasy Star, how revered that would be in the same vein of Sonic CD.
Well, it would make sense in this case because that's actually a good game, whereas Sonic CD is not a good game.
But it would have that level of prestige around it.
Yeah.
But more so, probably.
a friend pointed out how sad it was that they just nailed it with Phantasy Star 4, like the flow, and then there was just no more. So there wasn't like a Saturn Phantasy Star single player RPG.
No.
But I will say that even though I didn't really form an emotional connection with the first two games, I feel like I'm forming a connection with them in retrospect, because this game, the way it plays with the music, the way it brings up the old characters, it feels like it's imbuing extra weight into those old stories.
It literally even reuses a couple of old maps from Phantasy Star 1.
Yep. It's so cute. It's so clever. So I'm just having a ball with this. It's just good RPG. The fights are so fast. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's such a brisk game. Like, it's just like, it's very Chrono Trigger-ish.
Yeah. I think there's like a kind of an arc to these games where like you go from like Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 5, Final Fantasy 6, Chrono Trigger, FF7, where they kind of get that stronger command of how to like have moments of like emotional weight, I guess. Like Final Fantasy 4 is very silly. Like it will kill off characters constantly, and it's very dopey.
That game hit me like a ton of bricks at age 10.
It hit me like a ton of bricks at age 10 too. Don't worry. Age 8, I think. God.
It's so funny playing that now and being like, oh, this is
very silly.
I did not recognize this as cheese at the time.
Yeah.
But then, like, even then, Final Fantasy 4, I did replay it as an adult and fucking loved it. It's still just this. It's still like this RPG that just blazes by. You're just running through all these areas, getting all these cool bosses, all these dungeons, all these new original songs, all these cool, cute gameplay ideas. Like, it's still just a great fucking video game. And I think that I think a lot of people come into older, late 80s, early 90s RPGs with kind of the expectation of this will make me feel the way that, I don't know, Eris dying made me feel, or this will make me feel the way that these PS2 or like Trails made me feel, when they just weren't going for that. They're even in Phantasy Star 4, there's the cutscenes go by very quick.
Yeah.
There's not that much of them. You are spending most of your time running around mazes, fighting enemies very fast.
Yep.
And that's extremely fun. It's extremely fun. And then the story like has just enough like cool moments, just enough like kind of season finale beats. Like you get introduced to a villain, you do a whole dungeon, you beat the villain, you're 7 hours into the game. Oh God, there's a bigger villain. Oh God. Like the way it works those beats in, like a major character death. You beat another major villain. Oh wait, there's something behind that. My brain is kind of like, because I played Final Fantasy 9 and I was just like, this is just stuff happening.
Yeah.
And I played Final Fantasy 3 and 9, and both of them are kind of like just stuff happening, but one of them I had a really good time with and one of them I didn't. And I think it's just like FF9 is stupid, but it also has way more cutscenes, way more writing. It's way more intrusive with the story.
Yeah.
And it's not fun to play because the ability system is miserable and the battles are really slow.
Oh God.
So like,
it's the total opposite of this.
Yeah. So like, I wouldn't tell somebody to play Phantasy Star 4. It's like Trails. It's going to make you feel the way that Trails makes you feel.
No, not at all. No.
But I think this is like this is how you can just be an extremely fun video game using this format.
Yeah.
And that's like exactly what I needed. It's just hitting me so right. It's like one of my favorite things. So that was my brain babble about Phantasy Star 4.
That's a damn good game. Like, that is a game that I absolutely love returning to. Like, that is like an every few years kind of game for me. So
awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I'm having such a good time. There's one other thing, and then I'm done. If you want to talk about it together, Polly, we both played Franken.
Franken is lovely. Holy shit.
Franken is a 1 hour itch game. It is a extremely lightweight RPG.
Yeah. Very influenced by For the Bell the Frog Tolls, or Frog.
Yep, right. For the Frog the Bell Tolls, and explicitly Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah. Made in the first RPG engine I ever worked with as a creator, ORPG CE.
Yep.
The official Hamster Republic are a role-playing game creation engine.
That's very funny. I just posted a link in the chat. I think that this captures the joy of that kind of game very effectively.
Yeah. This game was a fucking delight. Like I had no idea what to expect going into this, and came out the other side just smiling the whole fucking time. Like the everything about it is great. The writing is so fucking funny.
It's so goddamn funny.
The battle gimmicks just they end up being funnier and funnier and funnier. The music curation is incredible.
Oh my god.
There's so much good shit they just steal from, and it's just like, this is that old Flash game energy. We're just taking music from stuff we like and throwing it in there. It's
extremely Poly Dungeon, press space to win, Poly Clicker energy.
Yeah.
With all this gorgeous art. It's very. I was just immediately like, oh shit! This. I remember you mentioning you're gonna play it, and I was like, you're gonna like this one. This is the most slam dunk. It's gonna hit right.
Like we were in I think 5 minutes in. It was like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah, that's splendidland.itch.io.
Yep.
Franken. And that's it. That's it for me.
Good fucking video game. Absolutely play Franken. So good. It's like an hour long. You got nothing to lose. Come on.
I think it's great at showing how you can fit like the kinds of fun of something like an old SNES Final Fantasy and fit that into a
little
experience.
hour long journey. Yeah. Yep. It's absolutely fantastic.
I guess I can say this. I got I got interviewed by Eurogamer.
There you go, John.
Fucking crazy.
God, John is famous now.
Doesn't need us no more.
Nah.
Specifically about micro RPGs and just I got to talk about a bunch of friends' games. There are screen caps of Golden Rays of Sunshine from Saori and Fallen Star from Tom.
Yeah, we got those in.
Eurogamer.
Got them in.
Or is it PC Gamer? I think it might be PC Gamer.
I think it's PC Gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's PC Gamer. It was the same guy who did a piece in Eurogamer. About Edwin, who was super nice, who was super fun to talk to. But that was really cool. So it's just literally talking about me and a bunch of friends who making shorter RPGs and trying to fit that kind of arc into a smaller thing. So talking about Phantasy Star 4, talking about this, it was like, oh, this all fits together. Oh, this is nice. Cool. I'll post a link in the chat.
Awesome. Yep. John's and PC Gamer. Yo!
What else have you been up to?
I guess the last thing I did, a little off the radar, I suppose. Nothing I think anybody's really paid much attention to. Like, it's just sometimes you just got to dig around and find things that people.
Yeah, we already did the ones that everyone was waiting to hear about.
We already did all the big stuff, so I figured, we'll close out with something a little more subtle, a little more under-celebrated, not really looked forward to, I guess. I just played through and finished the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative.
Oh, did that come out?
That came out, yeah. Yeah, I got a very cool Aiba figure. It's very nice. Oh my god,
the fucking saga.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, I feel sorry for anybody that got their shit canceled and did not get their game and did not get their Aiba figure. And I never thought, I didn't know that I was going to get mine at all either. So it was a touch and go there for that entire week prior to the game coming out. That was a whole disaster.
Even when they shipped it, I was like, I bet these fuckers shipped the fucking regular edition.
Yeah, like I was waiting for that box to arrive. And like, if that fucking UPS guy was going to hand me a box that was the size of a normal, like we were going to have a problem. We're gonna have like I imagine a crater would have just appeared in my front yard. But not thankfully I got my big special edition.
Good.
It's very good. My figure is very good. I'm very happy with it. So I think most anybody listening to this podcast knows about the Somnium Files at this point. Mm-hmm. Like it was my game of the year in like 2019. It's a surreal murder mystery visual novel where you're a detective.
Like visual novels.
They're real good. That's a big the big theme this episode. But you're a detective and you solve cases by diving into people's dreams to like put the pieces together of what happened in the real world. And like this is like I think that this is a game that like just caught everybody off guard with how well it was able to balance like hard sci-fi, realistic and meaningful human drama, and a lot of over-the-top comedy that just like hits you out of nowhere. Like I still don't know that I've ever played like a video game or a visual novel that has the same voice that the Somnium Files does. It's just such a unique and cool thing that it like thankfully demanded enough attention to get us a sequel. And we're gonna talk about this one as spoiler free as possible.
I'm still playing it, so yeah.
Red is still playing it, but I have finished the game, and I am going to be giving some final thoughts on it. So, like, if you'd rather not have my thoughts, like, color your expectations, I totally understand if you want to dip right now.
Okay, bye.
Later.
Just kidding.
So the first thing is, like, this game is not really at all tied to the original game's story by design. That's something that's just right up front that they're just like, hey, did you play the first game?
It's such a funny question to get, like, as the third line of dialogue.
Yeah, like, hey, we need to make sure we're on the right track here. Like, and if you choose to play like with all of that stuff on, which I mean I did, then the game gives you like these references and spoilers for the first game. But if you don't, it like removes any references to the events that occurred in the first game's investigation. But I don't think that this is the game that I would start with. I would still say just like if you're gonna play, if you're at all interested in this, please go play the first game first. Like that first game is incredible.
It's like also like $8 on Steam right now.
It is $8 on Steam until July 7th. So you got a long while to get like it's $8 on everything right now.
Oh, nice.
You can also play it for free on Game Pass. The original, not Nirvana Initiative. So, this game's story takes place simultaneously 3 months and 6 years after the original game. And it starts with, like, a perfectly bisected right side of a famous billionaire's body just gets dropped from the ceiling during a live game show.
If only.
Yeah, right. I had a hard time. I don't really feel sorry for the guy. Sorry.
I laughed when I started. I was like, "Oh, they killed Elon Musk. Oh no!"
Yeah, and like the way that
the way
that they talk about him too, it kind of makes you feel like he was kind of based on that guy.
Yep.
And it's also impaled. The corpse is also impaled with a sign containing a QR code that leads to this weird online video that's going to play a big role throughout the course of the game. And it actually works on your phone too. If you scan that QR code, you can actually go watch the videos anytime that there's like a reference to a video. Like they're on there. Like you just scan it in. And this is sort of like this sets up the 6 years ago portion of the game where we play as a new detective, Ryuki, and his eyeball companion, Tama. And we investigate what's basically going to become like the half-body serial murders case. And as the name might imply, there's going to be a lot more perfectly bisected human bodies popping up. Thing that, like, I think that they were real ballsy with this because it kind of feels very Metal Gear Solid 2-y. Because, like, they throw you into playing mostly as this new guy. And it's just like, and that cast from that first game is so strong that I feel that, like, everybody that's buying this game immediately is just like, oh, like, Mizuki is on the cover. Our precious baby daughter has grown up. We want to spend time with our precious baby daughter. And they don't jump you right into that.
Well, they give you a taste. You plays her for like 20 minutes. For like 20 minutes, and then like 20 hours as Ryuki. I was just like, I was seriously starting to wonder if we were ever going to get back to her.
I did, yeah. Like I was really, really shocked.
I said to you, did they hoodwink us? Like,
and the thing is, like, it's Uchikoshi, so I could see him doing it. Like he would have the balls to do something like that.
Yeah.
But I was immediately taken with Ryuki and Tama's dynamic. Like, they are really, really cool characters. Like, Ryuki is also a rich boy who's just kind of a cop for whatever reason. Like, his ride is a limousine.
Yeah.
You ride around in the back of a limousine anytime, like, you're between checkpoints on the map or something, or you're like got some downtime on the investigation. You're in the back of his fucking rich boy limousine with his hot eyeball girlfriend, and it's just
his hot eyeball girlfriend who makes sex jokes constantly. That's where they shoved all the...
Yeah. We didn't have Date this time around, so we got to put the sex jokes somewhere. And it's just so much more fun and empowering when it's a woman that has that part of the dynamic, and the guy is just like, come on, would you, like, chill a little bit, please? But you can also tell he kind of secretly likes it. And it's not the same flavor as Date and Aiba from the first game, where like that's a very specific dynamic, and those two just bounce off of each other so naturally. But like it's still like a similar playfulness within that new dynamic. Like I just settled into loving these two real quickly with how like they got along together. It just felt real good. So you got that. And then we have the 6 years later portion of the game, which is from the perspective of grown-up Mizuki, our precious baby daughter from the first game. And she just kicks all kinds of ass. We love her to death. And she's become a member of Abyss for some reason. And she's Aiba's new partner. And they get involved in this story because 6 years after the right side of the dead billionaire showed up, his left side showed up suddenly in the fucking middle of a soccer field. Like what? Okay. And that's kind of like that's all I really want to say about the details of the story, because it's an Uchikoshi game. You're going on a fucking ride.
They immediately start saying things like, perhaps it traveled through dimensions.
Oh my god, they just get right into it. You are you are 3 hours into the game when a woman is like, let me tell you about the Philadelphia experiment.
Oh my god, yeah.
When a boat is said to have transported 200 miles away. It's like, oh good, teleportation, let's go. Okay.
This game got me. One of the characters is like, have you ever heard of simulation theory? And I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit. And then she explains it. And it's one part in particular about how quantum mechanics, like quantum particles will behave differently if they're observed or not. Yeah. And how similar that is to when stuff is off screen in a video game. And I'm just like, wait, what the fuck?
What are you doing? Stop it!
Wait a minute.
God damn it, Uchikoshi!
Is simulation theory real? The way she's like, oh yeah, quantum behaves like that because they're saving on processing power. Like, linking it to a video game was a way to get me to be like,
so smart. It was so smart of her. It was so goddamn smart of her of them to write that, because that immediately hooks you. That taps into like people who may be zoning out listening to this very intelligent woman tell you about simulation theory, and then she says video game, and then that snaps you right back into it. It's so smart.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, this game is a ride. It's going to be predictably littered with revelations and twists and deceptions and lots of absurd silliness. It plays a lot, basically similar to that original game. Like, you're still doing a lot of the same investigation, point and click type of stuff. They added a new VR investigation mode where you analyze situations more thoroughly, where like your AI ball partner will create a virtual representation of the crime scene so that you can go explore it and put the pieces together, and that's really fun.
I really like those segments.
I like those segments a lot.
Like, it's nice getting a character to move around a 3D environment for a little bit without being on a timer like in Somniums.
Yeah. It's very cool. Like, they talk a lot of interesting environmental puzzles in there, and maybe not telegraphed as good as they should be, but it's like, look, okay, it's your first time trying this new way of doing things, so it's fine. Like, I got got stuck on a couple of them. There's one in particular that I've literally had to help 4 people with. I've watched people stream this game, and people
the 7 number thing?
It's the 7 number puzzle where people
You're right about Iba will help you on puzzles, and then Tama doesn't. Tama just says, fucking solve it.
Yeah, Tama, like, it's really funny because that actually is the same in Somniums later, too, where, like, you could, talk to Tama, and she's just like, yeah, I mean, here's a vague idea. And, like, in later Somniums, Iba will just be like, do you want me to solve it for you?
I fucking got hit with do you want Iba to just solve the puzzle prompt, like, 5 times because I kept fucking up?
Yeah.
I had to keep clicking no.
I'll
use my
funny.
hyper processing to help you through this stupid puzzle.
It's very funny because it fits those characters' personalities too. Where like Tama is just kind of just like, you know, whatever, dude. You fucking know this, dude. Come on. Oh god. But yeah, like I like that extra stuff. The way they they let you kind of interact with the world a little more, and it adds a little stuff. Makes you feel more like an investigator and not just playing a point and click game. And I think the Somniums are pretty good this time around too. They're -1. There's one of them that I don't like at all.
I got through that so quickly. I was like, oh, is that the stealth one that you freaked out about?
I have no idea, dude. I have no idea why it was so fucking miserable for me. Like, I felt like his back would be to me, and I would go to make a move, and it would still fucking get me. I was like, I had no idea what was happening.
That's weird, because for me, it was like, oh, I got caught, and then I looked, and he turned his back, and then I moved, and it was fine. I was like, huh.
And some other cool stuff with the Somniums, along with being just really well designed this time around. And just really cool little spaces to interact with. They've added some difficulty options for people that, like, if you want to take your time, you can like bring it down to like where every bit of time that you consume in a Somnium is just, you can bring it down to I think about 1/4, I think. And once you finish a Somnium, you can go back to it with unlimited time and then do all the interactions and find all the eyeballs you missed. Like, because there's like hidden eyeballs in every one of them. I think there's like 5. And you can just go back and like play the Somnium again, and like that is a cool feature, I think. And I think that like adding some accessibility to that stuff, because I know a lot of people that actually like, they liked the game, but like the time stuff was maybe just like it kind of freaked them out maybe more than it did. Like, I thought the first game was mostly pretty easy. But I can see how like that stuff might be irritating for people that are just really averse to timers and stuff. And like the game is just always hounding you, like, Dante, 6 minutes.
I finished one in this game with 10 seconds left. I felt so cool.
Dude, I finished one with 0.22 seconds left.
Whew.
That's cutting it close.
It was crazy because the screen was distorted in such a way where I couldn't actually see Pewter's message saying you're out of. It was straight up under 10 seconds. I heard him screaming, but like I couldn't see the screen. I was just like, if I just touch that thing over there, it might end, and then it did, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
But there's also like, they really gamify the Somniums because there's also like a bonus for finishing with over a second left.
Yeah, they did that in the first one too. There was a bonus for that too. You got got bonus art and stuff. Cool.
So like if you have 60 seconds left and the final action takes 70 seconds, you'll still win, but you'll win it like 0.0001 seconds.
Yeah.
So it doesn't give you the thing. So you have to really play
conservatively
perfectly to get those. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of time.
Yeah. The thing about the Somniums in this one is that they make a lot more sense.
Yeah, they do.
They're better as puzzles.
I think that you can think of it within the logic of the person that you're sinking into, and I think that it makes the puzzles make more sense. Whereas like the first one, I don't think they 100% nailed that on the first one, but like the Somniums in this one definitely feel very tied to the characters and the logic of the way everything works. It's very smart.
I do kind of like how they were in the original game, where it was just trial and error guessing.
Yeah, just straight up dream logic.
They put so much comedy into that.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, the answer is to bite the doorknob and then pull it off. Like, they were completely absurd in a way this one isn't.
Yeah. And I think they probably did that as a concession to the people that maybe thought some of the stuff in that first game did feel a little too trial and error-y.
Because it's frustrating when you're also under the timer of like, oh, I'm using 40 seconds to do a joke answer.
Yeah.
Like, cool, thanks.
I think going forward, I think they should just take the time out. Like, I don't know that it really adds much.
Mm-hmm.
I think gamifying that stuff, like, maybe makes it feel a little weird. And story-wise, you can justify it. Be like, oh, we've been using this tech so long now that, the time limit no longer.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it would be fine to just make those adventure game segments more, so you could have time to just play around with everything, because there are so many Somniums this time around where, like, I wanted to take time and just like, oh my god, I want to do everything. Yeah. And you can't, because you're on a timer and you want to get on with the story. So that's what I'm doing now, is I'm like, now that I'm post games, I'm just going back through the Somniums and doing everything that I didn't do the first time.
There's like one Somnium where at the start you can learn 3 different magic spells. But then I think I ran out of time, so then I knew which one you actually need.
Yeah.
And then the other 2, you don't actually ever need to use them. So it's like, oh, so now I'm just missing funny fail options.
Yeah.
Yeah. The timer stuff is weird, because I think it can be cool when it works and you finish with like 10 seconds left.
Yeah, but most of the time I finish with like a minute and a half left, or like 30 seconds, and it's just not that intense.
Yeah,
I get that it's a conceit of the lore, and they want to and like that time limit meant something, like storyline wise in the first game. And
true.
It doesn't so much in this one,
or so you say.
Maybe, who knows? But yeah, like the Somnium stuff this time around is really, really fun. Like I enjoyed getting to pull out pen and paper and puzzle out some of that stuff.
Oh my god, that fucking.
That one in particular was
the goddamn math dungeon.
Oh, it was like, I'm the one that loved that one.
I didn't dislike it. I just guessed a lot and was right every single time.
One of them is so easy. I knew what the one was gonna be with the 3 numbers. And I was like, oh, like when I got the first number, I was like, I know what it is, but I'm going to puzzle the rest of this out. And then I was right.
I didn't get any of them though. I just went, oh, it's probably this, and then it was.
That's fucking crazy.
I think the Somniums this time, I think there's just way more Somniums in this one.
Yeah, there is, I think.
Because in the first game, every single Somnium was a branch point in the story, and in this, they're not.
Yeah.
So there's just like twice as many, and they're all much more diverse and kind of gimmick that they have.
Yeah.
Like there's one that is a very big parody of another game that's just very funny.
Oh, God, yeah. And there's so many things you can do in it. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, they were having
the music at that one part.
I died. I fucking died.
There's jokes in this game that they go so far with, and then they go one step further and just really seal the deal.
That's what made the original work too. Was like they go harder on the joke than you think they would. Like making Iba put a pot on her head, and then she'll just keep it on her head the rest of the Somnium. It's like that kind of shit you just don't see.
I actually had that happen in this one too. There was a pumpkin that you didn't need to investigate, and then I ended up with a pumpkin for a while.
I did one Somnium where I stuck a glass of brandy into Ryuki's head, and it got stuck. It was really good. But anyway, like I think that this game's strength, moving on, is still like in the way you just come to really love all of the characters by the end. Like these performances and the material they're given to work with, just like it puts them so high up on the list for me in regards of like visual novel casts. Like they're all funny, they're relatable, the stories take turns that'll like break your heart sometimes. Like it's hard to not get invested. And I think that like the problem that the game does run into is the fact that it's a much larger cast now, because it does incorporate a lot of returning characters. That like the new cast, like it needs to focus on that new cast, and I think that it loses that focus a bit. So like I feel like some of the threads end up feeling a bit underdeveloped. Like most everyone still gets a very good amount of screen time, and their stories do mostly wrap up in a satisfactory way. There's just a lot of depth I feel can be missing sometimes.
I've definitely felt that as well, of like, you've got almost the entire first game cast and this new cast, and it's like the first game cast maybe should have backed off a little bit more.
Yeah, like there's some that obviously need to be there, like Boss and Date.
Not Boss, of course.
Yeah, like Boss. You cannot take Boss. No, I will not play a game without Boss in it.
No, don't make that threat. They'll kill her in the first 10 minutes.
No! Goddamn, I would cry. Fucking love Boss. I'm gonna marry her.
I believe you.
Yeah. I love that despite the fact that there's likely a lot of pressure to make this game more accessible, because the first one was more like, it ended up being more popular than they realized. I think that there was a lot of pressure to make this one more accessible too, because like there's not any blood in this game. Weirdly enough, that first game's really violent. Like this
given
game,
the whole premise of bodies being sliced down the middle perfectly,
there's no blood
there's
at
like
all.
almost, there is a little bit of blood, but very, very little compared to, I remember I saw a scene from the first game the other day of a character being killed.
A character gets fucking cut in half, man.
And that one is very bloody.
Oh yeah. But this game has basically a T rating in Japan. So that tells you how much they kind of toned it down. It's very VLR in the same way, where like 999 caught a little traction there, and they were like, hey, maybe tone it down a little bit. And it feels like this. But despite that, they didn't back off of how absurd this fucking game is, and how absolutely silly it is from the jump. Like everything that like you loved about that first game, of like just how silly it can be, and just how unafraid it is of throwing a really dumb joke into a serious moment, they lean into 700 times harder in this game. And I really love that they kept that tone, because again, I think that that's very important to this game's voice, is that it be able to do that and it feel like it's not trying too hard to do that. And I still think that they're at that point where they're not trying too hard. Like they know they got a good thing and they know how to do it, and they're not hyper aware of it and trying to make it work. It just, we write this naturally and this feels pretty good. So I guess my final opinion on the game, I guess I think that like I don't think this game sticks the landing as gracefully as the first game.
I mean, the first game tied that knot. It gave every character big resolution. Yeah,
like the first game, it felt almost effortless with how it got everyone to where they needed to be by the end. Yeah. And Nirvana Initiative can often feel like it's trying to hammer jagged edges into round edges in some real ham-fisted ways sometimes. And I have a feeling that like the main gimmick of the game is maybe going to be highly divisive, but I'll let everybody figure that out on their own. The climax didn't hit me quite as hard either. And I think that that's largely because either Somnium Files climax is like that game, it's based in a very personal matter. Whereas Nirvana Initiative is more procedural in like you're trying to figure out like, well, how is this case working? Like it's not operating on that same personal level of intensity that that first game has, where when you get to that climax, you feel it in your heart. Whereas Nirvana Initiative is more focused on like, this is the police side of things, the procedural side, the detective stuff. We're going to make all of that come together and wow you with that. There are still a lot of emotional moments. There are still a lot of things that are going to hit you in the feels really hard, but it won't be the climax, I guess. And I think that maybe let me down a little bit, just because that first game set such a precedent for the kind of writing that I really like. Like I just like really deeply personal stories, and like that, like there was like really heavy stakes there that they set up at the last part of that first game. Whereas the second game approaches that same thing, where it's just like this game just happens on a much bigger scale. Where I feel that like the first game, it was operating on a smaller scale, a smaller budget, fewer characters to work with, so we're telling this more emotional story, whereas like now we can like blow this up a little bit, We got a bit more of a budget. We got a lot more characters to work with. We can put a lot more pieces on the board and move them around into different places and make these situations work. Maybe in a bit of a contrived way, but we'll make it work.
How does that compare with the Zero Escape games in your head?
I think that, like, this feels maybe a little more Zero Escape-y to me.
That's kind of what it was sounding like to me. Like, because to me, my experience with Zero Escape was like each game kind of having that big sci-fi lore explosion at the end, and watching those pieces come together was clearly like the main attraction. Whereas I seemed a little more of that kind of personal feelsy stuff.
Yeah. And like this game's climax is still good. It's still awesome as fuck doing what you get to do. But like that first game's climax is, again, I think it's just more personal and terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more personal and terrifying, whereas this one is more like procedural and over the top and just like, oh shit, we're in the middle of some shit right now and we need to handle it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still like this game a lot. Like, I don't want it twisted, but the fact that like I'm a little disappointed with it, but you know, like there are other things that
I think
about it
that felt kind of inevitable.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I was prepared.
Very
for
difficult.
That. Yeah.
The first game felt to me like Ghost Trick, where it was like such this self-contained package. I was always kind of a little wary of a sequel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that like they and that's a horrible thing to say because like Nirvana Initiative doesn't need to exist. I'm glad that it does because I still had so much fun being around all of these characters that I enjoy. I had so much fun learning about all of these new characters and seeing their stories come together. Just the fact that I'm a bit disappointed with a few things with it, like, doesn't bring it down to just like, oh, it's a shit game or anything. It's just like, look, that first game is such a milestone and it was such lightning in a bottle. It's like, you tried, you didn't hit it a second time, but the game that you gave me, I'm still satisfied with. Like, cool. I can't be mad at this game. Like, it's just like, yeah, like I might have been a little let down with it, but I still like it a lot.
Thanks for digging into that. I enjoy getting that kind of nuanced rundown.
Yeah.
With these things.
I know, because everyone on the internet, it's either the best ever or shit.
Yeah.
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah. Like I can't go like hardcore either way on it because like it's not the best game I've ever played and it's not like trashy, shitty shit. It's just there's a lot of nuance here. It's like I'm disappointed. I can reconcile my feelings with the things that I'm disappointed with, but I can also say like, I played this game for like 20 or 30 hours, and I know that I was sitting there with a big smile on my face for most of it. So, like, I can't say that this is a bad game just because it let me down a little bit. It's still
the boss
good.
fights are really fun.
There you go. The boss fights are really fun.
I mean, my worst fear for this was that it was going to be like a Dark Souls 2 of like, Uchikoshi's not involved at all, and it's just a total... soulless.
Well, that was the worry at first when the game was first announced. Like his name was not on any of the materials, and he had to be like, "No, guys, I'm involved. I am writing this game."
Oh my god, I remember that now. I remember that moment where he posted about it.
We definitely avoided like the worst case scenario of it. It actually is really bad.
Yeah,
like it's still a very good game. I just think the first game was very hard to follow up.
Like that first, like it's not like the fact that the first game is so fucking is near flawless as it is. You can't I can't use that as a cudgel against this game because this game is like despite the fact that it has that name, I think it is still trying to do something different. It's still trying to like evoke a lot of those same feelings and vibes, but it wants to do something different. It's not trying to just be that first game again, and I respect that. You might not have hit everything, but I get it. Like Poncho Smith in the chat says, it wasn't everything it could have been, but it has a lot of good points.
Yeah. Like again, like you still love like my like the Zero Escape games didn't hit you the way I did, as I understand it, and you still like care about those games a lot.
Yeah, like I love the Zero Escape games, and it's just like I understand that like that they don't have kind of like that emotional hook for a lot of the time. You know, they are more about like that fun sci-fi twist when you get to it, for the most part.
Because they get so fucking twisty,
so fucking bonkers by the end. It's ridiculous. You know, like it does have those emotional moments, but I think that like when you look at like Zero Time Dilemma, I feel that like the Somnium Files is like what he wanted to do with that game. Like when you look at how I the Somnium Files is presented, a lot of the writing and a lot of the way that everything is set up, I feel it like that's kind of what he wanted to do with that game, but maybe just couldn't at the time, or the vision hadn't fully got there yet. And we'll remember that I still love ZTD. Like I am that person that's my game of the year of that year. So. And that has not changed. Like, and I've seen a lot of people replay that game, and I've enjoyed it every time. Cool. But yeah, I the Somnium Files has always kind of felt like some kind of evolution of what he was wanting to do with Zero Time Dilemma, and sort of changing how a visual novel has to be presented, and how you can play around with the structure and the game shape and all of that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, got you to say shape.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna have to. It was gonna have to happen at some point. But yeah, I'm happy with Nirvana Initiative. Like I had a great damn time. This game put me in a good headspace, a time in the world where God damn it, we just need it, right? Like this game
need that.
This game fell into my lap at exactly the moment I fucking needed it. So hey, the game it saved me a week of going out of my fucking mind.
That sounds nice. That sounds like a nice thing to have a visual novel do when the world is awful.
Yeah, instead of one bending you over its knee and gaslighting you into a fucking pulp.
Just what you needed this week.
Yeah. Sounds like you should have played I the Somnium Files, John.
Sounds like I should have played I the Somnium Files.
And then play 13 Sentinels, goddammit.
Yeah, goddamn 13 Sentinels.
Those are like the ones, because they're both like y'all's like high on your list. So
yeah,
they're definitely way up there.
Yeah, I imagine like you gotta like you're saving those for like the perfect moment, like for busting out that perfect bottle of champagne and finally popping it. Like, all right, this has got to be a special moment.
I think John works in mysterious ways.
I think
too.
No one saw Phantasy Star 4 coming.
No, I didn't. Absolutely did not. But I'm absolutely happy that it happened.
Yep. It just keeps on. You just gotta let the brain do what it wants.
Yeah,
the brain. And sometimes the brain says, "Let's do Phantasy Star 4."
Yeah.
And other times it says, "Let's play Umineko." And then sometimes it betrays you
by saying, "Let's play Kingdom Hearts."
And then that's the thing. I considered, what if, just imagine living in a life where I never play any bad RPGs at all. Isn't that really sad to consider? Isn't it sad to imagine like just going through your whole life without playing any bad RPGs?
Oh yeah, terrible. What a horrible fate. You sound like Jetstorm.
I mean that like earnestly. It's like you got to get some of them in there. You got to cut the good stuff with other stuff.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, I did play a lot of Neptunia games, though.
Hey, wait a minute.
Games.
I think that those games are, by and large, considered bad games, though we like them. That's basically what I meant there. It's like I think people.
I hate that you're right.
Like people call those games bad, despite the fact that we like them. But I know that like I love them.
Wasn't Rebirth 1 also a game of the year for you?
Yes.
Over Undertale.
Yep, I put it over Undertale.
That was so choice.
Yep,
that was the only year we could have possibly had a full sweep for all three of us.
Yeah,
Neptunia was the one that broke it, and I love that.
You got to go with your heart.
I do. Yeah, I think bad RPG is like comes in extremely wide shades of like.
Polly, I think you mean bad RPG that you like, and I mean that, and I also mean bad RPGs that I don't like. You need to get good RPGs that you like, bad RPGs that you don't like, and bad RPGs that you like. You need all three to be happy.
Like I can
accept that the food pyramid of RPGs.
Exactly.
God damn it.
Like I can accept Rebirth 1 as like air quotes a bad RPG, but I still really like it. But then there's the very original Neptunia game, which is just a bad RPG.
Ooh, what game's just real bad? Oh,
like
God.
Just actually unplayable on a mechanical level.
Like on a mechanical level, it's actually busted because you actually have to skip the animations to do damage.
Oh my God, it's insane.
When you guard break
an enemy, heal.
When you can't directly heal. It's all based on percentages. They may heal. You have a limited number of healing items to do so with. When you guard break an enemy, if you aren't skipping animations, you're wasting time because the guard break meter goes back up in real time. So you've got to skip the animations to do damage. It's so fucking stupid. Oh God!
That was a great tangent.
How did they let that out? How did they let that out? Like, who thought that was a good system? Like, who played that at every level and said, "Yeah, that's what we're putting out"?
I liked Neptunia 1. I didn't like it enough to jump into the other games, but I played that. I was like, yeah, I liked a lot of the systems.
Again, Rebirth 1.
Rebirth
1.
The fixed version.
Yeah, like
and also the one that was very short.
The version that was literally based on like 3 iterations where they like, they got that and then they like MK2, not quite there, and then Victory, like where it's, okay, the third game. Now we're going to take that third game and remake the first and second games.
Yep.
What was my video games, man?
Oh, weird.
We talked about them on this episode of.
I gave my copy of Neptunia to Rhett.
Yeah, and I played it for like 20 minutes and was like, I'm sorry, Polly. This was a beautiful gift.
I 100% expected that. I sent it to you because I wanted you to just have it. It wasn't a matter of like, oh, I want you to play that. It was...
I really tried to play it and was just like, this is
awful.
Unplayable. It's also like 15 frames a second.
Yeah, like
all these extremely bizarre design choices, and then also like feels like sludge to play.
Yeah,
on every level, it's broken.
It's amazing.
Well, the story's probably fine.
Yeah,
the story seems cute and funny.
The story is really good. I've watched the story on YouTube, and it's it's a cute story. Oh Lord.
Cecile says, kind of want to put together a list of top shelf champagne games to get to later. Oh. And I was like, I have made versions of this list since high school. It has slowly evolved and that list has evolved over time. It's excellent.
Oh wow, they actually there's another version of Rebirth or another version of Neptunia 1 called Reverse.
Yeah,
which is Neptunia 1 that runs on console decently. Yeah, that's a thing. Those games never ran super well even on PC. Remember, anytime I would guard break in Neptunia Rebirth 2, I remember I would have like a half a second stutter.
Nice.
Yeah, it was real good. Man, we put up with a lot of shit for those games, didn't we?
Not me.
Not John. Not John. It's just because we're the ones with taste, John.
No, that was a joyous. That was very joyful to watch happen. That was a joyful period of.
We would have kept going, but they just stopped making remotely decent ones.
Yeah, like they're just kind of like, yeah, we're done trying. God damn.
So it goes.
Oh, it goes. So I think
you need all different flavors of RPGs. That's life.
Sometimes. I think that is a podcast.
Absolutely.
I think we're gonna go ahead and get ourselves on out of here. But before we do, John Thayer, where can the internet folks find you at home on the internet?
The pages of PC Gamer Magazine and farawaytimes.itch.io.
And where can they find you?
Watching anime. Go watch more anime.
I'm gonna try to this time around. There's a few that I actually want to watch.
Nice. Banana Fish. Don't actually watch that one. I'm not
gonna watch that one. No.
It's good, but Jesus Christ.
I really need to get the 86, so I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah. I'll re-up that Crunchyroll.
Have more Phantasy Star.
You should. That's a good ass video game. Millie, you're just in time for us to end the show. And you can find me at twitch.tv/polyhead, where I do a bunch of stupid VTuber stuff and all that fun stuff. So yeah. We are gonna get on out of here for another few weeks, but till next time, want you to remember that we are the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you. Oh, you've been here for an hour. Okay, cool. I was hoping you didn't just like pop in right at the end when it was like, hey, we're getting the fuck on out of here. Yuck. All right, I'm going to send everybody over to Twin Tail Nami. She's playing Valhalla, which is another one of my favorite visual novels.
Good.
You can watch her mix drinks and save lives, and we'll catch you. I don't know. I might be doing a stream tomorrow. I'm thinking about getting drunk and playing some NES games and talking to people on Discord. So if that sounds like something you want to do, well, you know how to type exclamation mark Discord if you want to hop by. So all that fun stuff. So yeah, we're gonna send you all over to Nami. Thanks again, everybody, for coming out. We love you lots. Bye-bye.
Bye.